Children of the night. Listen to them sing.
He's like, oh, maybe that's the cold opening. Children of the night. Listen to them sing. Oh. I never drink wine. Can we record that?
Yeah, we should.
Go now.
I'll
Go.
make like a little beat.
Go while
we'll
it's fresh. No, go.
No.
that's
We're ready for the show.
natural.
We're ready. Yeah.
Yeah, we're ready for the show.
Let's do it.
Children of the night.
Hello, you beautiful freaks. Welcome to a brand new episode of the hit podcast FREAKQUELS. I'm EJ Leeson, and with me, as always, my co-host and my number one guy, Rory Calarasi. What's up, buddy?
I am recovering from our last episode that we just did with our buddy Carmen. Howling 3.
Halloween 3?
Halloween.
Halloween
3. Electric Boogaloo. So
The
we are
marsupial.
all collectively in rare form.
Yeah.
However, our guest is coming in here like a fresh daisy.
Yes.
She didn't suffer our trauma.
So, also, of course, we have the podkeeper himself. And watch out, small objects, because he is in his I want to put that in my mouth phase, young Vince. What's up, baby?
I'm still in that phase.
Oh, you're still, yeah, that's what I was saying.
I see it. I want to put it in my mouth. It doesn't matter.
Hey, Vince, how about we get these guys to go take a walk?
Bye, guys.
Also joining us is a very special guest, actress, writer, D&D enthusiast, and vampire expert, Elle Snow. What's up, Weotch?
Hey everybody, thanks for having me.
Local
doing?
vixen, local heartthrob,
Yeah.
local harlequin.
Vampire expert,
Yes.
vampire.
So what's up, buddy? What's new?
Well, it's been a week. It's been a crazy week. You and I did Battle
Did you
of the
just watch
Bards.
The Howling 3? Has it been that long ago?
Yeah. No, we did Battle of the Bards. Yeah.
And in which we had 48 hours to write a 5 to 10 minute play based on a prompt we were given. And I had just submitted my play, and a tree fell on my car.
Yeah. It
That
was,
sounds about right.
Yeah, it was a hell of a weekend.
Weirdest,
That's the writing process.
Yeah.
the weirdest freak accident, but like after we got all the branches cleared away, no damage at all to my car. So
That's pretty fantastic.
really, really lucky.
Maybe
your
your
play-
car is immortal.
Yeah, and your play crushed it at Battle of the Bards.
No,
It was
your
awesome.
play crushed it.
No, we've
Hilarious.
we've heard good things about both.
Yeah.
But yes, we've heard good things about you too. We heard you guys were awesome.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
And again, I apologize for the booing and
Yeah.
just
I-
in my constant yelling of next skit.
Next one, please.
We didn't even start yet.
Well, no, it was funny.
I didn't mind the booing. It was you throwing the beer bottles at the actors. Like, they
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
write it.
You gotta
Especially
know.
Maggie. I was like, she's a friend of the show.
I know.
And you hit her square in the head.
Yeah.
with the
There's
butt.
people that I see every day and I don't treat them well.
Yeah, don't throw full beer bottles. Empty them first. At least drink them or spill them out. You don't want to
Well,
hurt somebody.
I
You
don't
ever
like.
watch Roadhouse, man?
Yeah.
Come on.
Did you ever see Air Bud?
Hey,
You see Airbud?
Maggie, I'm sorry for throwing beer bottles at you. I know you were just trying to better yourself,
Yeah.
and I was ruining it. But
No.
we don't have to stay on that.
I did. It was funny. You went first, and they called. They're like, all right, Elle Snow, and I went, I know her.
You did. You did do that.
As you should.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. I was like, I'm proud.
It's a little bit
I was
comfort.
super proud of you because that like is one of the first times you actually had something performed, right? Like a
Yeah.
play. Yeah.
I've only ever written one play before, and it was for a playwriting class.
Right. And so you ended up writing this awesome, like, kind of Sherlock Holmes skit. And I remember you're like, yeah, I have like a couple of funny things. I hope people laugh at this or whatever. And then we're there, and Maggie and Casey were performing, and it crushed. You got all the laughs that you were like, I hope people laugh at this. I hope they find it funny. And but it went over really well. It was awesome.
Yeah. I talked to KK about my play, and like he's a playwright himself, so he said he really liked my beginning, and the middle he was kind of, and then he liked the end. So. At least he really liked the beginning. So I'm like, cool, it's got a good strong start.
Yes. Yeah.
I'll take it. No, I'll take it.
No,
I mean, and just in all honesty, just from like an observer guy in the audience, I didn't write any of this stuff. I thought you both did a terrific job, just because that amount of time that you have to actually complete this stuff, the turnaround. It's impressive. I thought it was great. I got to be part of the audience. I was laughing and cheering and acting like a fool. I wasn't actually throwing beer bottles. Not that time. Yeah. But no, I thought I was proud of both of you. I thought you both crushed it.
Thank you, man.
That means a lot.
Didn't mean a word of that.
Yeah.
Why can't I just be like a normal person? I'm like, have a moment, and I'm like, now I'm gonna pull away.
No, let me take it back.
The appeal for me when they asked me, I was like, because I've loved SNL like my entire life, so the fact that you have to write something and turn something out.
We had talked about this.
Yeah. What's SNL?
Saturday Night Live.
When did they film that?
On I don't know what day it is.
I'm sorry. That's a cheap joke.
No, but I'm such a huge fan. So when they asked, I was like, oh my God, that's awesome. Because I've always wanted to try to do something like that. Like,
I feel like you would thrive in that environment.
You could tell like some were definitely like plays, and then
don't wave at him.
Mine was definitely like a SNL skit. It definitely read like a SNL sketch.
And the actors that you had for your skit they killed it. Like they embodied those characters like so quickly, and really like the combination of what you wrote and the way they played it was perfect. Like if you rehearsed for a week, I don't think you could have gotten them to do it that good.
I know. What was the kid, the J Muse looking kid?
Okay, yeah. So Jackson.
Yeah. And just awesome.
Oh my God!
I totally believed he was that person.
I know.
He did such a great job.
And I was so like, it was so cool because he came into the bar and he immediately was like, "Hey man, you wrote something, right? Can I be in it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, hell yeah!" So I was so pumped. He actually was like enthusiastic about even being in my thing. So
he was terrific.
He was perfect. Yeah.
The Battle of the Bards Facebook page, they said they have never gotten that many actor signups before.
Oh wow!
So
yeah, that's awesome.
Or so many guys to sign up, because usually it's more girls and guys that sign up to act.
Yeah.
But like, people hear that we're in the running, and they're like, "Hey, we gotta
do it.
We gotta be a part of this magic."
EJ welcomes all the boys.
Oh yeah, no, you know what's funny though is like Friday we met up to get our prompts and stuff, and they're like, maybe write more for actresses because we get more actresses that sign up than actors. And then I ended up going with something that it was all male actors. I went,
you're
God,
like, hell no.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do my own.
I still want to see the other one you wrote.
I know. You got to read it. So when writing, I actually wrote out 2 first drafts, and then I had Robin read them. And she just reacted to the funeral one like more, like laughing nonstop. That I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna go with this one. And then, but the funeral one, the other one was like a Dracula story that I wrote, oddly enough. And there was a character named Vince in it, and there's jokes about, go fuck yourself, fuck you, Vince, and a drywall.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. No, I definitely try to work in there.
Okay.
But then,
a backhanded compliment is a compliment.
Nevertheless. Got that.
No, but the other one was fun though. I still had a good time. I'll probably work on that.
Does that one tie into the movie that we're watching today?
And it does. Yeah, so today we are talking about the Universal Studios film Dracula, 1931, directed by Todd Browning, starring Bela Lugosi.
Really?
Yeah.
Bela Lugosi,
Dwight
you say?
Fry. Oh. Yeah. And some other peeps. But it is. We'll talk about a little bit more about that. So this was a pick. We were like, oh, let's do something, and I was like, well, Elle has to be on this episode.
Yes.
Which is good, because we were actually going to bring in an actual vampire, who was actually going to sit in and tell us his life experience.
But we got something
But
better.
we went with you instead.
Yeah. And I also
Not too far off.
Yeah. And someone already interviewed a vampire, so we were like, no, we're not going to do that. Jiminy Cricket.
Dude, hey, there you go.
How
Good job.
when you wrote that down, how proud of yourself were you?
What? The interview?
The interview thing. Yeah.
I didn't.
That was all- no,
I
that
That's
was
off the top of your head?
Off the
Yeah.
cuff,
That's a
I
tops of headsies?
Yeah.
There you go.
A lot of my best jokes, I realized, are just off the cuff ones that I just make.
I like that.
The ones I write
Yeah.
always suck, and then like the
You
one-
can't underestimate fever.
No, never.
Yeah.
Hey, SNL, you need fever.
Yeah.
No, I'm very excited to talk about this movie because I love vampires.
Oh, you do?
Can't talk about vampires without talking about Dracula.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be absolutely insufferable this episode.
So they mentioned that we were going to do this episode, and I said, "Well, can we is it possible to get a vampire expert?" And they said, "Don't worry."
And then
I
when we
was-
couldn't get that person, we said, hey, Al.
Hey, Al, are you available? So, without further ado, let's get into this movie. So, yeah,
I'd like
today,
to point out that Elle came in full vampire with her leathers, all of her leathers. She was ready to go with the all black, everything. She's
Black lipstick.
Yeah, to the nines. Let's say.
Yeah.
I was leaving the house and I asked John, I'm like, do I look like I just stepped out of an Underworld movie?
And he was like, "Yeah, you look perfect."
Yeah, you're like Kate Beckinsale right now.
He was in the middle of covering an Avril Lavigne song,
Yeah.
but he did give you the nod of approval.
For his 25th cover band.
Yes, indeed.
something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but you came in and vamped out, and I was like, hell yeah,
Love
this
it.
is gonna be a good episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the
Well,
film,
anything's going to be good compared to the last episode we did. So yeah.
yeah, the Halloween 3.
Oh Jesus
was the
Christ!
last
We're still
episode.
recovering
The
from that.
harrowing.
The heroin 3.
I may have been sent from a guest from afar.
Yes,
Fuck you,
yeah.
Carm. Fuck you.
No, no.
Oh, God. No. All right. Yeah.
The
Let's
only
not.
person that gets
Let's
fucked
not punch
around
down.
here is you.
Fair enough.
You're getting fucked. You're getting fucked, Vince.
You picked the wrong 3 people.
Guys, I gotta go.
Think you could get away with wearing what you got?
The Alkaline Trio t-shirt with the better crumpled up on this floor.
It doesn't help that you guys Winnie the Pooh every episode either,
Yeah.
and then you're saying that.
Yeah, I know.
You know, we lose a lot of guests that way.
Yeah.
They walk in, they're just like, nah.
There's like 9 episodes that haven't aired because of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Great
Yeah.
content, but you'll never hear it. Because every episode just starts with someone walking through the door and just shrieking and the door
And
slamming
walking right
shut.
out.
And all of us collectively going, what?
What?
No pants. Come on.
No pants. You get the... Okay.
Hey,
so,
this show's lowbrow.
So, the film starts with a group of travelers making their way through Transylvania. And one passenger hopes to meet with Count Dracula at midnight.
And who's on the coach? Very
Oh.
first speaking line. Would you like
Yeah.
to talk about that, Al?
Oh,
The very first
Carla.
spoken line of dialogue in this movie is Carla Laemmle, who is the niece of Carl Laemmle, who is the head of Universal at the time and listed as producer on this film.
Right. She also is the first speaking line in the Spanish version of the film, too. She actually is one of 2 actors that jumped over and because they filmed the Spanish version of this at the same time.
I feel like we're going to talk about the Spanish version
yeah,
a
I feel
lot.
like,
You
yeah.
cannot
So
talk about this one without
I
comparing.
didn't watch the Spanish version. Am I going to be lost on this? or no?
I hope so.
I mean, it's the same movie, just shot better.
Well, the interesting thing is that the English cast filmed during the day, and the Spanish language cast filmed at night. So they would watch the dailies and everything and be like, we're going to do it better. We want to elevate everything that they're doing. And
And they did.
yeah.
If you could swap out the Draculas,
Yes.
it'd be perfect.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the Dracula and the Spanish Dracula is awfully silly looking. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So you're saying take the Bela Lugosi
And
American
stick them in that Spanish
and stick them in the
Because all the
Spanish
actors
version.
and actresses in the Spanish one, I think, are better. The camera
Oh,
moves.
Except
really?
for Dwight
I was going to say
Except Dwight
Renfield.
Fry, yeah.
I was going to say
Yeah,
Renfield's
Dwight Fry's
character.
on a
Okay.
different level, but yeah, it's just a more technically sophisticated movie.
And they got away with more because of the censorship in America. It was like so ridiculous.
Conservative,
at the time.
yes.
Yeah.
I get
So
that.
like obviously like you don't see it, but you kind of figure it out. Like Bela Lugosi, like his Dracula will come out of the coffin, but they don't really show him getting out of the coffin, where in the Spanish version they're like, yeah, we'll have him like rise up and there's like smoke effects and stuff.
He does that weird stretch where he's like, "Ugh,"
Yeah.
which was weird. It took me out of the movie a little bit. But
Yeah. So but anyways, going back to the film.
They're in the carriage riding towards the Borgo Pass.
Yeah.
And what's great about that is the film technique that they use with the glass filming. So basically, they had the mountain range painted on glass that was mounted in front of the camera, and then like basically just filming the live action in front of it, so it looks like it's driving through this whole mountain range, and it's really just through the Vasquez Rocks in California.
That's outstanding.
yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
EJ, I'm sure you know what they're famous for.
Yes, I do.
Is that Star Trek?
Yeah, the arena. Yeah.
Hey, before we blow past it,
Yeah.
so did you guys catch those ducks?
Wow.
Did
Yeah.
you see them?
Yeah.
There's a bunch of them.
Yeah.
I just want to mention them. 'Cause they were cute.
Yeah.
They're probably all retired now from acting.
They're probably dead.
Oh,
1933. How long do you think ducks live?
they have long lives.
All right, fair enough. To go back, the opening credits,
Yes.
which I thought were perfectly timed, but then when you get to the end of the movie and there's no credits whatsoever, I thought I've never seen anything like that before.
Yeah,
Is
older
that-
films
is
used
that
to
a-
do that. They used to stack the credits in the beginning.
and then
the
nothing
film
at
would
the
just
end.
end
It just
with, like,
ended.
the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, weirdly enough, trailers used to be at the end of the movie.
Wait, what?
Yeah, that's why they're called trailers.
Yeah, because they would follow.
Holy shit! Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, it's 2024, and I just learned something. I didn't know that.
Hey, that's what happens on Freakquels. We talk about ducks and film history.
But since
Yep.
we're on the opening credits, the theme,
Swan Lake.
Swan
Oh,
Lake,
beautiful.
which I tried to find like, oh, is there a significance? Is there a reason they chose that piece? It's like, yeah, because they didn't have to pay for it. So that's why they also used it in The Mummy and Murders on the Rue Morgue.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now that's become like a Dracula staple.
Even like
Black
in Ed
Swan.
Wood, they use it.
Yeah.
And it was referenced in Abigail.
And even
Oh, that's right.
Renfield too. Like
Oh, yeah, yeah.
in the Nicolas Cage movie that just came out, they reference it, use Black Swan in that too. Yeah.
Do you want to get right into it with the music? Should we get that out of the way? So I watched this entire movie, and there were gaps of this movie where I thought, this is beautiful, it looks great, but I feel like it's missing something. And then Rory had mentioned to me, he was like, hey, you really need to, there's a Philip Glass version of this that you really need to get into. So if you want to talk about that now before we get into or you want to wait, it's up to you.
No, it's all good. We talked about this before the show started, Elle and I, because your assessment's correct. There's a score, an optional score on some of the discs, and some of it needed to not be there. You
Yes.
know, like it definitely needed to like just give certain scenes some breath. You know.
Yeah.
But there are moments that score. To me, anyways, it definitely elevates.
It takes
certain
it up a
things, right?
little bit of a
Because
notch.
I just think that Tom Browning, just kind of coming out of being like a silent film director, he didn't fully understand the talkies and the what film was turning into. So he just seemed a little late to the game with a lot of that stuff. And I think the movie functions perfectly fine without a score. It almost has like a dreamlike quality to it. But it does seem like some of the urgency of what was going on in the movie would have been felt more if there was a score driving it. That's just my opinion.
So is that a sign of the times? Did he not know? Was it a
No,
budget thing that they didn't want it?
It's just literally some of the filmmakers were just having a really hard time wrapping their head just even around the idea that there's music in a film that the characters don't hear.
So this is 1931. What was the last we did? Frankenstein's Bride, which was 1933, and then we did Invisible Man, which was 1933, 1934.
Well,
So here's my question: as far as the Universal Monsters movies go, is this one? Is this like one of the first ones?
it's one of the first ones. I mean, there's other ones that you could say preceded
Okay.
it. Like some people consider like the Lon Chaney Phantom of the Opera, stuff like that. But it's definitely one of the early.
Yeah.
When you think of what the Universal monsters are.
So my question is it's safe to say that music wasn't necessarily not introduced into movies, but it wasn't a feature and it wasn't something that they would use.
They were exploring it at that point.
Okay.
But here's a funny thing. A couple years later, in 1933, they did this movie. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's called King Kong. And that's got a big old score.
I'd never heard that.
And the special effects in it were like really, they were like pushing the boundaries of filmmaking in that movie, and it was only like a couple years later.
Yeah.
I just think it was a Todd Browning thing.
Okay.
It's not, and don't think of it as me like talking down on him.
No.
I just think that it's probably weird to just be like, this is what cinema is. Cinema is silent. It's all in the visuals, and then suddenly people are like, well, now they're talking. You're gonna explain your fucking plot to dummies, and there's gonna be a score, and he's probably just like, why?
And it's funny because like Todd Browning coming from silent films, it actually touches, like, I just want to touch on that too, where there's moments in this film where he uses that silence effectively
as a tool,
as a
for
terror.
sure.
Yeah, like, so it's kind of weird, like, how certain times you're like, oh yeah, it does feel like there should be backing music, but then there's moments where that silence actually
it really is
escalates
helpful.
that fear.
Yeah.
I feel like we've talked about that before. Like, silence in horror movies can be so damn effective when used properly.
Absolutely.
But then we've also talked about this before a lot, is that scores sometimes are like the heartbeat of a film. And sometimes they make up, I mean, they say 60% of a film, and many argue it's probably higher.
Yeah.
But in this movie, I just feel like there were certain moments that probably could have been elevated with a score, and then some moments it just needed to be quiet.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch the version that you're telling me about, just because of, like, I already walking through this, it's already visually beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, there are certain scenes, just like his solo shots of him with the light across his eyes. It's like
Pen light.
and we've talked about
so
like
awesome.
So good.
there are certain scenes in movies that you could just snap it and say, that's art, and just put a frame from this movie on the wall and be like, that's beautiful.
Up until it becomes a stage play, the beginning of the movie, I think, is stunning.
Yes.
Yes.
It is beautiful.
And you can tell that it's
'cause
shot
this-
on a stage
all
too.
the Transylvania stuff.
Yeah.
It's like outstanding.
It is so gorgeous.
Because
And-
it is based on the stage play. It was Hamilton Dean had adapted it for the stage,
Sure.
and then John L. Balderston had done
Just had a copy of the play on standby.
Balderston.
had done significant rewrites to it when they got the U.S. rights. So that is the version that appears like once they get to London. The whole part with Renfield going to Transylvania at the beginning was added for the film.
Huh.
Yeah, and it's for the betterment of the film for sure. Because the only problem is, like, and again, this is a Todd Browning choice. It's just that I understand it's based off of a play, but move the fucking camera, because sometimes it's just these
we'll get into
static
that.
shots
There's
of people just like literally, like, I feel like I'm watching Dracula at the local playhouse,
Right.
Yeah.
you know, and even like Jonathan, dear God.
Yeah.
Well, Carl Freund was cinematographer on this, and was considered a pioneer of moving camera techniques, and he was really constrained by Browning. And so there are some good shots, and we'll talk about them when we get
sure.
to them. But yeah, a lot of it is very static shots.
Yeah. And it just kind of...
To
and
its
he was
credit,
a German
though,
expressionist cinematographer too. So
Yeah.
like you could see elements of it,
It creeps
especially
through.
in Transylvania stuff. Yeah, like it creeps through. But then of course, yeah, like the other stuff.
Can I give you a weird comparison? You know that Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness movie?
Yes.
You know how they have like Sam Raimi in there, and periodically you just feel him creeping through the Marvel formula?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
then like Marvel's just like, get back! They're like whipping them. Get that style out of here. Like it kind of felt like that a little bit.
Yeah.
to this movie's credit, it was the first vampire movie that was ever a talkie. Like,
Sure.
all of them previously have been silent. So, I mean, it's a lot of new ground being tread.
Yeah.
So I can kind of forgive the lack of soundtrack, because they do use music at some points, like when they get to the theater in London. But
I was meaning more like an emotional level, not not like
Yeah.
something playing in a fucking opera.
I understand.
Yeah.
Just to get to your point, because I just want to mention this. One of my favorite parts in any movies is in Kill Bill when her character is buried alive And when you say silence is can be used usefully, I feel like the darkness and the silence of her being buried this movie made me think of that, where there are certain parts of like there's just silence and you're like literally holding your breath, made me think of that in like some of those scenes, and I felt anxiety from certain parts of that movie that I felt in this movie. So I get what you're saying as far as like you don't always have to have something going on. Sometimes there can just be nothing, and it's far more effective than having shrieking violins or whatever.
Which is kind of, again, what we were saying about the Philip Glass score. There's moments where you're like, oh, that's awesome. Yeah. And then there's moments where you're like, scale it back a little bit. Pull it back.
Yeah, just take the volume down.
Just let the moment breathe, but we won't stay too long on that. Let's move on.
So the film starts off with a group of travelers making their way through Transylvania. One passenger, which is Renfield, has plans to meet with Count Dracula at midnight and head to his castle. And even though with a lot of warnings, the guy, Renfield, insists on going anyways. And a lot of the people are like, but you'll die. And he's like, well, I got business.
That one guy needs a lot of confirmation that he's going to Dracula's castle.
He's like, are you sure?
You're positive? Dracula?
Like Count Dracula?
That castle?
Dracula?
Slow down. Dracula's castle. He's like, yes!
Yes. Heard of it?
A couple interesting notes about that scene is when they show the peasants that are praying. Oh yeah. The prayer is actually in Hungarian. Yeah. At the time Stoker wrote Dracula, the part of the Borgo Pass was actually part of Hungary, not Romania at the time. And so the signs outside of the inn are also in Hungarian. And one of the signs is for Palinka, which is a type of plum brandy, which is a reference to the book because when John Harker is going to Dracula's castle, he's offered Slivovitz, which is a plum brandy. And another tie-in, have you ever seen the movie Subspecies?
Oh my God, if I did a long time ago.
Yeah, in Subspecies 3, I believe it is, they go to talk to this professor and he offers them Palinka. And
oh, really?
So I can't look at the sign without thinking of that other movie because that's
Radu. Which sign?
It's right outside of the inn where the carriage pulls up when they get to...
Was that the sign that had the words Dracula was here?
Yeah.
Spray painted on it?
With the backward
with the Z.
Yeah.
And W.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I had that same note as her.
You're going to Dracula's? That Dracula?
That Dracula? The one that was here?
The one who tagged our sign?
He's real trouble. Real trouble.
Good guy, just can't trust him with spray paint.
So meanwhile, in the crypt, we see Dracula and his ladies rise from out of their coffins, and this is where you see like the cinematographer's touch a little bit.
Yes.
Where the camera does kind of like move in on the coffin, and hands coming out.
Well, can we address a couple things? Go ahead.
First off, the first vampire bride that leaves her coffin was actually one of Greta Garbo's stand-ins.
Oh, neato.
Oh, that's really cool.
Rory, please. We cannot go past the scene.
There's a couple things.
Without you talking about one thing in particular.
Was it, like, in my notes it says, does that bee have a coffin?
Yeah. Right? Like that little thing that crawls out of the coffin.
Yeah, it looks like a little bee.
I'm like, oh,
he's a vampire bee?
That's what I thought too. I was like, oh, I didn't even realize Dracula was rolling with that guy too.
There's an old possum.
Yeah.
They were supposed to be rats because you can hear rats squeaking.
So they settled with
possums. But they got possums.
we need rats. Well, we can get you a possum. The budget calls for possum.
To be fair, those possums were very method.
And marsupial.
I bought them.
I will just never look at marsupials the same.
No.
I just love the idea of a producer being like, I can get you possums. You want rats? I can't get rats, but I can get you possums.
We got a truck full of method possums out there.
I specifically had in my notes, Rory, talk about the animal actors, please.
Yes. Yeah. There's
those
some
are in my notes every week.
Yeah, there's bats.
There's some bats.
Oh, can I just say that the bats in this movie were more believable than the bats in the beginning of the Monster Squad?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
You know, they actually have an address if you want to write fan mail to them. They actually will respond.
Okay.
Yeah, they're still alive.
They are. They're retired now, but they'll still answer your fan mail.
Do they go to like Comic Cons and stuff and like sign autographs
They
and
used
do
to.
pictures? No,
They
it's too old.
slowed down since COVID.
Okay, fair enough.
They don't want to get sick.
Yeah, they don't hang upside down anymore. They sit upright now.
Little rocking chairs.
Yeah.
Little jazzy scooters to get
Yes.
around.
But yeah, I just want to mention this. There was totally a bee in a coffin.
Yeah, that's what.
Is that on the book, Elle? And on what page?
Yeah, what's the scoop on this bee, man?
Can you go into that a little bit?
We're gonna do a deep dive. It's gonna have to be a whole separate episode.
What's
there
the
like
biz on that bee?
Just like a scene in Subspecies where there's a bee in a coffin.
Is this bee like rolling with him?
You know, he's actually a bee movie star.
You're assuming way too much about Subspecies. Subspecies is about this creepy vampire biting chicks when their tits are out. That's what Subspecies is about.
Oh.
So if
Tell
you
me
like,
about that movie.
Vince is like, hey, I have a suggestion for next episode. Subspecies.
So does this bee like have 2 stingers instead of 1?
The stingers come out here. Little fangs.
They come out of his butt. It's just like.
I like to think that as of right now, we have to hold the record for the most time spent on the bee in Dracula
Yeah.
than any review in history.
Well, I'm curious about this bee, man.
I would like to know more about him. So if everybody at home listening right now, if you want to write to freakquelpodcast@gmail.com,
Gmail.
if you have any information on the bee actor in this movie, and if that coffin is available to purchase,
Oh my god, how
Like,
adorable
he
would
was
that coffin
sleeping
be?
in a hive. Like he was just like, forget the queen. I got my own thing.
yeah, well, he's a vamp.
I want to see
Yeah.
one of those TikTok videos where people rescue bees and they're like, today we're at Dracula's castle.
They rehabilitate the bee.
Yeah.
So like, you belong here. He's
You're
like,
not really a vampire. They just want you to believe that.
but I like waking up at night. I get really addicted to 7-Eleven hot dogs.
Oh my god.
I gotta go. The nightlife, man, it calls me.
Well,
I'm
this
the
is my
creature of the
favorite
night.
thing we've ever talked about on
Yeah.
Freakquels.
What is up with that bee? So we see the crypt and everything. So then we see where Renfield, he arrives that night to the pass, and then he jumps aboard the carriage of Dracula, and we see the driver, and we know that it's actually Dracula himself. And at one point, the Renfield looks out of the carriage. He's like, driver, and he just sees like a bat flying and these horses like following along. Is that in the book?
No. It's actually Harker who takes the journey to Dracula's
Yes,
castle
Jonathan
rather
Harker.
than
Jonathan Harker, yeah.
rather
I mean,
than Renfield.
You could have
Wolves.
read the book, but I love that
Wolves.
you're writing down questions for Elle whether or not she's read the book. Hey, I'm too lazy to read this. Did this happen in the book? Please tell me.
Hey, also, the horses in this movie will also respond to your fan mail.
Oh yeah. About the bee though,
Is
Back
that
to
in
the
the
bee.
book? And on what page?
is it like about 3 chapters just about the bee? Because that's pretty cool.
That's all
for
he
us.
wants to read.
That's if
Yeah.
Stephen King wrote this.
Yeah, that's true. So,
Did you ever read It?
oh yeah,
There's
it's
a
like,
lot of
It's like
a lot of filler in that book.
major, like he'll just rant about something for like 12 pages. He'll be like, all right, Georgie's like running down the street and he just passed Orange Drive. And let me tell you about Orange Drive for a minute. And then he, like, it's like
Turns into
13
20
or
minutes.
14
It's like when-
pages later.
Dude, you get to hear all about Stan's wife's college career.
Yeah.
She's not even a player in the fucking story.
It's like when Tolkien goes off on describing trees.
Yeah, and you're just like, oh yeah, the plot. I forgot.
I do have a question about the movie It, though.
Yeah.
Since it's about a clown that lives in the sewers, do you think Stephen King wrote that for shits and giggles?
That was too clever a joke for this show, Elle.
Yeah, fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Elle.
Elle, you're going to come in here. You're going to make jokes about Winnie the Poohing.
Yeah.
The occasional fuck you, Vince.
Yeah.
Right.
But don't get clever.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
It's not that kind of
Tone
show.
it back, tone it back.
Deep callbacks. I like that.
Our audience listening right now is so stupid. They wouldn't understand a goddamn thing that you said. But back to that bee.
Well, back to the bee. Is it in the book?
Speaking of the audience,
There's an armadillo in this movie.
Yeah, so inside the castle,
There's an armadillo.
Renfield
Sorry.
We're
meets
not there
Dracula.
Okay.
And we find out, his name finally is Mr. Renfield. And the first floor of the castle looks like shit, but once you're upstairs, the castle is
Really
beautiful.
comes together.
I love the
Not one
creepy
armadillo
sound
upstairs.
of the door opening. Like when he first enters the castle, that
Yeah.
creak of the door opening, especially with no soundtrack, sounds so ominous.
Yeah, it's real spooky.
Spoopy.
And the castle was another, like, one of those glass paintings, and that was actually filmed on Universal Stage 12. And the spider web was all, like, wires.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Okay.
So that was, like, set up on a permanent stage.
and
so
those
that they could film
armadillos?
it. We're not there yet. Wait, oh yeah, okay, now, Rory, the armadillos, please.
Thank you. There are armadillos in this movie. I have a question for you, in all seriousness.
Yes.
Real serious question. So, when I think of Dracula, I think of Bela Lugosi.
Yes.
That's just where my head goes. Mm-hmm. So, like,
We got
you
Bela
as a
Lugosi.
Dracula enthusiast of all vampires and such, when you see Lugosi, are you just like, fuck Lugosi? Or are you like, there are better people that I've seen play Dracula? Like, where does your head go?
It's an iconic performance, it really is, because he, at no point in this movie, has fangs. So much of it is in his posture, it's in his facial expressions.
The eyes.
The eyes. So much so. And keep in mind, he had been doing the stage play since 1927. So, like, 3.5, 4 years of playing this character
Had it
before he
down.
brought it to the screen.
So, like, for you, like, when you see him, he is a good representation of the text? Because I found that, like, the only reason I'm asking you, because I have read the book.
Right.
Well, actually, somebody explained it to me very briefly, because I can't read.
I was going to say that.
Yeah,
sounds-
we're not, we
that
actually, I don't
sounds
know how to
more
read,
like-
but that's fine. We want to stay on that.
And the bee. Yeah.
Yeah, and the bee. I read all about it. But I know, like, Dracula is presented a little differently in the book. You know? He has a mustache.
Well, he starts off as a very old man.
Yeah.
And then as he drinks blood, he gets younger.
Yeah.
The other thing is, apparently his English is near perfect. Whereas when Bella started stage work, he was learning plays in English phonetically. So he had worked very hard to speak English, so, you know, he never quite lost his accent. Which is such a small difference, though, because when it comes to character, I can forgive things like that if you have the essence of this character down, which is he is aristocracy. And it's something that I brought up when we talked about The Invitation, where it's, you know, the upper class. And so a lot of the theme of Dracula is about classism and xenophobia, and so, like, as we go through this movie, I can point those things out. But
He's
like,
very eloquent.
yes,
So, also, I find him
Gentleman
not having
vampire.
a very firm grasp on the language, you know? For me, personally, I do feel like that adds something to his character, because, I read this a long time ago, and I don't remember where it was, but it almost kind of comes off like he just hasn't had a conversation with somebody in a couple hundred years.
yeah.
And it's almost like you just forget things if you don't practice them on a day-to-day basis.
Renfield was the first person he's talked to in like 75 years.
Like,
Yeah.
I think it's actually in that Shadow of a Vampire movie with Willem Dafoe, where he talks about, like, he's like, oh, does he even remember how to, like, set a table or how to, like, make a bed? Because if you don't have to do that for a couple hundred years, like anything, you probably just forget or, like, lose the perfectionism of it.
But he has 3 brides.
Yeah, but what do you think they talk about? Do you think they just sit around at a table and they're just playing cards? It's like...
He does talk
Playing
to them.
bridge.
He's like, so seriously, what about that bee?
I didn't even invite him here. Where did you get that fucking coffin?
I get the armadillo. I do. I like the possum. But who invited the bee? I said he could move his coffin into the castle for a couple of weeks until he got on his feet. He will not go home. And that smell of 7-Eleven hot dogs.
You're still going. He's still going on it.
I love that we're creating lore about this bee.
Yeah. Take that, Bram Stoker.
Yeah, man. So we see where, you know, Renfield, he goes upstairs finally, and like I said, the downstairs is a mess. But upstairs, there's not one armadillo in sight. Dracula offers Renfield dinner and discusses Carfax Abbey. He's like, yo, so we're all good. Like, you still got everything worked out. And Dracula plans to take a ship, a voyage the next night. So Dracula hooks him up with some food and wine. Is in this scene is the first continuity error. The valise that he was carrying for Renfield goes from his hand to the table. Because apparently there was a scene where he was talking about like Renfield's correspondence to people back home, and they cut that. So that's why the valise is just boom on the table.
Oh. I noticed that. I was gonna make a comment about it, but
you were right.
I wasn't. Yeah,
I remember you saying that.
I was gonna mention it
because I was gonna say it too.
We saw the same.
So
Rory,
we talked about it.
If you would talk about Dracula reading the lease, as a film fan, did that remind you of anything?
Him reading the lease?
The terms and conditions?
When he shows him the lease to the property in London.
Him reading it?
Yes.
Oh, God, you have me on the spot. All I'm thinking about is that bee.
I'll explain.
Okay. So this was actually a nod to F.W. Murnau's Nosferatu, because it very much mirrors the scene where Count Orlok is reading the lease.
Oh, it's just like that weird... Yeah, I got
the intense focus on it, and then the eyes up over the paper when Renfield cuts himself.
Okay, that's neat.
So it's just a nice parallel. And fun tie-in, Bela Lugosi was actually in a film by F.W. Murnau, Der Janoskopf, which was a version of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Okay. Oh, that's funny because in Ed Wood he says,
we always want to. We had that
100%.
It's funny because in Ed Wood he has that line where he's like, I always wanted to play Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to this production. But it turns out he did.
Yeah.
So Tim Burton.
Rory, how many references to Ed Wood could you make during this movie?
I'm holding back.
I know.
I'm holding back
I can
I've
feel.
made two
Please make them all
so far. Because that I mean, for everybody at home, Ed Wood is probably the closest thing I have to a favorite movie. I adore that movie beyond comprehension.
And because I know that about you, I'm never going to watch it.
I know, despite me.
Just despite you.
Were
there bees
did Dracula,
in that movie?
I'm sorry, did Renfield cut himself yet?
Oh yeah, so he hooks him up with like some wine and stuff, and he's like about to say goodnight. And Renfield pulls out like a pen and he cuts himself, right? Isn't it like a little paper clip? I think.
Yes.
And then Dracula's like, oh, shit. Oh.
It's a crime that everybody listening to this right now did not see EJ's face.
Sorry.
So like... Oh, EJ, I just have to say this. I'm so happy I know you.
I'm so happy I know you too.
I don't know, man.
That's acting.
Yeah,
like that. That got me. That was really good.
Shit.
So then Dracula...
Actually, this is continuity error number 2.
Where he's like fighting back the...
Well, you'll notice that the bed is turned down when Dracula had no opportunity to do so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like all of a sudden the bed is just turned down.
No.
Yeah.
I think it was the bee.
Yeah, I think it was the bee.
He's fucking that castle up.
Yeah. Actually, I think the bee was driving that horse's carriage the whole time.
He was. I saw him. He was wearing a little top hat.
Also, this movie was not the first time that Bella and Dwight acted together. They were in a play in 1926. It was a comedy called The Devil and the Cheese.
That sounds like a great movie.
Who was the devil and who was the cheese?
Great question.
Was it a Munster movie?
I think, you know what? It might have been.
No, you're right. We're loopy. We're there. We're there.
Loopy.
We're there. We're exactly where we need to be.
When Renfield like cuts himself,
yeah,
and then Dracula, if you would like to do that again,
no,
please. All right.
Oh shit!
And he kind of is going in, and then he sees the cross.
Yes.
His reaction is to just kind of like throw himself back and cover his eyes. And Renfield acts like that's a normal reaction to seeing blood.
Yeah. He's like, Oh, it's cool, man.
Yeah, it's all right.
It's just a little paper.
It's a very big reaction. He just
Keep in mind, like,
it's okay.
People fainted seeing this movie. So if you actually saw blood in real life, there were people who would actually faint. So
do you think that,
know.
like, do you think Renfield, like, after Dracula left the room, he's like, wow, what a bitch.
What a wuss. That Dracula guy, what a wuss.
Keep in mind, Renfield is used to dealing with rich guys who have, like, now, you know, like, there's, like, a little bit of detachment from reality
Sure.
with rich people. So it's like, he's like, oh, yeah, he hasn't seen blood because he never had to dirty his hands doing anything.
And
Little does he know.
does Renfield have any experience with, like, distinguished bees?
He couldn't wait to get to the bee joke.
Yes.
Wait, time out.
Yeah.
So people, when they watch this in 1933, 34, 35, 36, 37, because I'm assuming they just played this movie for the last
They only watched
5
it in
years.
1931.
Okay, fair enough. Could you imagine taking a theater full of those people and making them watch Terrifier 2?
Oh my god.
What would happen?
They would shit themselves.
My stars.
My stars. How many?
You ever see Stand By Me when everyone's puking?
Yeah, there was a point in time where people saw, like, footage of, like, a train pulling into a station and just, like, lost their mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, imagine
So-
showing those people
They see
Terrifier.
Art the Clown.
Art
Yeah.
the Clown
They just like one will just barf, and then it's just a chain reaction
of everyone throwing.
like just everywhere.
Clown cafe scene.
Yeah.
My house cinema has come a long way.
My
Such a
God.
lot.
Yeah.
So up until
Oh, and I just want to throw this out there again because I did this, I think, last time we watched the movie. This movie is close to 100 years old.
Just
oh
about.
my gosh,
Just
yeah.
about. Like, fucking
Yeah, 7 years.
wrap your head around that.
That is crazy.
And those horses are still answering fan mail. What?
Bees, not so much.
Well,
so
he's a real biatch.
Renfield, Dracula's like, okay, good night. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
That
right?
180
And-
turn around like Renfield is one of the few camera movements we get, but
Yes.
it's beautiful.
Well, that's because at that point Todd Browning was filling up his flask.
yeah.
And he just,
Got
the
away
camera
from it.
just moved on its own. Like, I'll keep it.
the cinematographer just sees him filling up his flask. He's like, "Oh shit, I'm gonna make this interesting." Yeah, Todd, just take your time over there. Don't worry about it.
All right.
I'm resetting the lights, I guess.
Don't worry, we'll fix it in post.
We'll fix it in post. So then Renfield, he walks to the window and he sees a bat, and he's just overwhelmed by the sight of the bat that he passes out.
Yeah.
And we see the brides coming up
That happens.
behind, and then Dracula himself comes in, and we assume that he bites. We don't see it,
So
but we assume he bites him.
I have a question, which my
Yes.
wife brought up while we were watching this. He bites her, correct? Yes, no? Or are we not there yet? Doesn't a vampire have to be invited in? How did he get in?
It's his castle.
Yeah.
You're good.
All right, that makes... Okay.
Loopy.
Also,
A little
You're good.
loopy.
this is continuity error number 3. Apparently, a scene was removed where it shows him taking off the crucifix, which is how Dracula's able to bite him.
Was he like,
No, Renfield takes the crucifix off himself.
oh, Dracula picks it off him.
Jesus Christ!
Literally.
So
Oh wait, I do have my notes though. I do want to know what Dracula talks about with his brides on a day-to-day basis because they have to make
we're
some
gonna get
conversation.
lit tonight. Do you have any White Claw? We're going to the Burger Pass and we're gonna get some of it.
In the book, they talk a
I'm
lot
gonna
about...
hack to it.
Go, get out.
Spit on that thing.
Yeah.
So for
I killed Rory.
so for everybody in the future, there's this thing called Haktua, which is very 2024, and will never be referenced again, nor will anyone remember it.
It was just that voice. I never heard you make that voice.
You never heard him make that voice before, and it took you by storm. Oh, he's got tears in his eyes,
I'm so sorry.
legit tears.
Go to the Porco Pass.
Lit. So
If you do want to know legitimately what they talk about, I will direct you to the movie Van Helsing.
Oh, okay.
Just all I needed was that.
I think that's in a chapter of the book. By the way, I just have to point this out. I don't know if you knew this, but I know you're like a Dracula expert, so you probably did. They actually took some of the rules from that bee, where you have to actually be invited into a beehive. So Dracula's like, "Oh, that sounds pretty cool," and so he took that out. Just so you know.
I love that you were writing. What the fuck did he scribble?
I drew a little dynamite.
I love it.
Because I was like,
I'm going to blow this up.
So then we cut.
All right, back to Freakquels.
Yeah, back to
Jesus
Freakquels.
I'm not done yet.
Take your time. You're good.
Okay, go ahead.
So then we
Go on without me.
Go ahead.
Renfield removing the crucifix is in the Spanish version. They kept that in that one.
They kept that in that one.
Okay.
I like my version of it better when he's just like,
This shit is hot.
Poor Elle is trying to be...
yeah, you're dealing with a bunch of morons.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry.
So then we cut to the Demeter, but not really. It's called the Vesta.
Yeah.
And the ship Dracula is on, and or aboard. And so we get a scene where Renfield is now calling to Dracula, and he's calling him master. And he awakens Dracula and he's begging. He's like, "Dracula, please let me feed on some lives while we get to London." And Dracula just looks at him. He's like, "I got shit going on."
Yeah.
And he goes out.
He just wants a snack.
Yeah. And I assume this is when he goes to kill basically all the crew.
Entire crew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of the Vesta.
What's interesting is in the play, Dracula arrives in London by plane. And they're like, we can't do that because we don't have the budget. So they actually took...
Let's put him on a boat.
They took footage from the silent film The Stormbreaker, and they put it in this movie. Like, so it's just stock footage. But you'll notice that because silent films and talkies were filmed at different speed, that it looks kind of a little rushed. Like
Jittery and...
Yeah.
That was the name of the boat?
No, that was the name of the film. They took it from The Stormbreaker.
It's from the film, okay.
Vesta is the name of the boat. And
Did Peter Dinklage make that movie?
Oh, my God.
What?
Stormbreaker.
Stormbreaker, yeah.
I got it.
Yeah. Damn it. I didn't get it. And I watched Game of Thrones.
So are we at the scene where they look down into the boat and Renfield is at the bottom of the steps?
Oh, yeah.
And
So
he just looks absolutely insane.
Yeah, so Dracula is so we see where Dracula goes out, and we don't know what happens, but it's safe to assume this is when he goes and he kills the crew.
I love the speaking of German expressionism. I love that shot.
For everybody that didn't hear that, it was German expressionism.
I love that shot. It's like a shadow cast on the wall
Of the
guy, like tied to the steering wheel.
The captain.
Yes.
That was an awesome shot.
The
Yes.
voice of the harbor master was Todd Browning.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's like, I gotta fill out my flask. Was that the dialogue?
Yeah.
I got a coloring book after this.
I gotta meet up with those girls at the bar. I'll pass.
So I want to get lit.
I gotta get wet.
So then the ship arrives, and all its crew are now dead. Renfield lets Dracula know of their arrival, and so the recovery crew finds Renfield, who is laughing like a madman below deck.
The crazed look in his eye.
It's so
But
good.
I also think it's the shot of all the darkness behind him and his eyes being so white. I don't know if there's like a lighting thing going on there.
That shot was not in the shooting script. That was improvised between Dwight Fry and
Because
Carl and
he's
Todd.
such a good actor.
Yes.
Yeah. I feel like that shot is
Carmen gets it.
Yeah, Carmen gets it. He knows.
And that'll be the only reference to Carmen.
Maybe. But so we see that shot in Dwight Fry, like even like the makeup, like minimal makeup they do give him, and his hair is like a mess now. Because when we first meet him, he looks like he's very suave.
He looks like a young, handsome Chris Alou. We've mentioned it before. We'll say it again.
Actually, that guy wishes he was as handsome as Chris Alou.
Yeah, that's right.
Chris Alou,
I was looking at
Chris Alou would have crushed this.
Oh, I think this is like a part he's born to play, for sure. Dwight Fry in real life, I was reading this last night, died at 44
What?
from like a heart attack.
I thought you were
He
going to
was
say
a
B bite.
devout Christian scientist.
Yeah.
And he didn't tell anyone that he was sick for a long time. And he passed away on public transportation.
Yeah.
It's very sad. Like, don't Google these actors. It's very sad.
All their
what happens
lives are
to a
so
lot of them.
sad.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody at home, look up Florence Lawrence.
We'll give
Go-
you a
look it
second.
up.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I'll wait.
We'll wait. We have time.
We'll wait for everybody at home. No, one of the first movie stars. Like, all their pasts and their journey through Hollywood to make all these movies that we're just gushing about.
Yeah.
Riddled with tragedy
Not
and
all
sadness.
of them, right?
Yeah.
Like Marilyn Monroe, she turned out. Nope.
Yeah.
Oh.
No.
Oh.
Wah, wah.
No. So we then
Marilyn
see the newspaper articles about the Vesta, and also that Renfield craves small living things like bugs and ants for their blood.
I also, I love that whole scenario, or I love that whole scene with the newspaper clippings.
Yeah.
Because I
Yes.
feel like that must have cost a fortune back then.
It's
To
also,
get newspaper printed with what you wanted
right.
on it exactly, that must have cost. That was like a quarter of the budget.
It's also the closest we get to the style of the book, which is told in like journal entries
Newspaper
and telegraphs,
clippings.
newspaper clippings. Yeah. So like that's like the one little vestige.
Snippet or homage to the book, or
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in this newspaper clipping, we also find out that Renfield is now under observation under Dr. Seward. And
No,
Also,
what's up?
when we move into the sanatorium, that's a crane shot by Karl Freund. So one little interesting
Which is
bit of
awesome
camera
looking.
work. Yeah.
yeah, it looks
It's a little like jerky, but it's really good.
yeah.
Whenever I see Dr. Seward, you know what I always think of? When I first met Tom Tomeo,
Yeah.
I was in a Dracula play with him, and he played Dr. Seward.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I was Arthur Homewood, who's not in this movie. They condensed like 3 characters into one for this movie.
Yeah.
You kind of have to do that with a stage play because
For
there's
sure.
so many characters in the book. And it's kind of unbalanced because at the beginning you have just Dracula and Harker. Now we have to introduce all these characters like Lucy and her suitors and Van Helsing. And now we have to make you care about them all and advance the plot. So when they were adapting the play, they're like, what if we just combined all these characters into one? And make it simple, and
Yeah.
we'll just do it in London. And so like they tried to pare everything down they could to like get the essence of the story without, making it too complex.
True story. Real side thing about that play.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody that was in it was like really good. Like they're like really like good actors. You know, like Chris Ibach.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Actually, he played
Phenomenal. Yeah.
Renfield in that. But everybody was really good, and I'm not an actor, so I just like showed up. I just wanted to like be in a play,
Yeah,
I guess.
do
You
it.
know,
Yeah.
Because I'm an egomaniac who's out of control and stuff, and I just wanted to see myself.
Can confirm.
It's confirmed. So I remember they wanted me to read for Quincy Morris, and I just was like, I'm not gonna get this role, so I was like, just be real fucking stupid about it. So I just they're like, oh, he has like a Texan accent. I'm like, wow, rootin' tootin'.
Well,
Gonna ride my horse into the sun. And they're just like, I think they thought it was fun, and they gave me a part. I got to be in the play, and I was like, all right. But I remember just being like, they're not gonna give me this fucking role, so I'm just gonna like go
Just have fun.
down, swing,
Yeah.
and just make everyone laugh. And,
Let me try and ruin it for everyone.
yeah. That's just this true story of my life.
that's awesome. No, I love that.
I was Lucy in a local production of Dracula.
Yeah,
And
that was you.
it was me.
We were in the same play.
Yeah. No, different play.
No, it was the same play. But go on.
Okay.
You just don't remember.
We had
Rory.
and
Forcing
He
it on
didn't
her.
have that Texas accent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they told me lose it.
the actor who played Van Helsing had a lot of like funny dialogue, and so our problem was every time when it got to Lucy's death scene, the audience would laugh when he pronounced me dead. Because he's like, she's dead, and they're like, there would be a giggle.
It was an audience. It was an audience filled with divorced men.
She's dead. Fuck yeah! This is what I'm talking about.
So
Fuck you, Barber.
Final night of the play, we decided we were gonna change some things around, and we're gonna not make anybody. We're gonna get some tears out of this. So they had Dr. Seward pronounce Lucy dead because he was one of her suitors, and yeah, it was like dead silent. We're like, we did it, no laughs.
Van Helsing's just sitting there. He's like, well, I guess I'm the problem.
I guess it's me.
I'll never act again.
She's dead.
She's dead. So in London, we see Dracula, and now he's sporting a top hat. He looks good.
Looks great.
And he finds a flower merchant, and he ends up feeding on her. We don't see it, but the way they do it is really
Off
kind of cool.
camera, where they
Yeah.
I thought it was behind a pier, but because it's not in like letterbox, it was just off camera.
Yeah, basically.
So, this is just a real quick thing, because I don't think I emphasize this enough. I think Lugosi is like striking looking in this movie.
oh,
Absolutely.
Like he just commands.
He
the
commands a
screen.
presence.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's
Like-
got like a thing that I just like. I'm telling you, for the rest of the time, how many versions of Dracula I see, I'm always going to Lugosi.
So the eye shot, is that
Uh-huh.
a thing? Is that like, is there a name for that?
It's like they're just using like a
pen
pen
lighting.
Pin lighting, is
Yeah.
that? But that's epic.
It's
like,
so
that's
good.
So
It's so
good.
simple.
So simple and
It's-
very.
They
yeah.
use it for
Very early
Morticia.
special effects. It's like to make it look like
Yeah.
his eyes are glowing.
Yeah.
Yeah. They in the Addams Family in the 90s, they
Oh,
used that
with
for
Morticia?
a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just very simple but very well done and a very subtle, a very good effect.
Yeah.
And when he's walking away from the flower girl, and you can hear the policeman, I don't know, it's supposed to be London, so the bobbies, I guess,
Bobbies.
blowing their whistles, and he's completely unbothered walking down the street. It almost like feels like American Psycho
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah.
The way
Where
he
it's
just
he's a rich, distinguished gentleman.
Yeah.
Why would the police be after him? And
Oh, you have a top hat. Carry on.
exactly.
Please, sir.
It's
Please.
so
Continue to feed.
it's like he looks incredibly dashing, but
He
it's
does.
also so chilling in how emotionless he is after the fact.
yeah.
Yeah, he
I
just
thought
like.
it was weird.
He doesn't even seem pleased with himself. It's
Yeah.
just like, well, that's done.
Rory has
On to
that
the
same
theater.
look on his face when he's done working here.
Yeah.
when
he
I
has
feed
that.
on our customers.
I did find it funny when he's walking by and there's that homeless guy. He's like, "Why don't you get a fucking job?" You know,
And he
I
gives
thought-
him his business card and then
Yeah.
walks. Yeah, I got it.
When he went to the ATM and it said feed
Feed
me a cat.
stray
Yeah.
cat. Yeah. So Dracula ends up going to this opera, right? Is it the opera?
Thank God he wore a bib.
Yeah, and yeah, he's like, "Ooh, let me take that away." So Dracula,
Sir, are you covered with blood?
No. It's strawberry syrup.
I got ribs.
Yeah, I got ribs. Oh, really?
I went to Chili's before I got here.
He's got red on you.
Red on me. That's good. So Dracula hypnotizes a lady to summon Dr. Seward, and Dracula makes a little bit of small talk with him, and they're kind of in
Why did he hypnotize that girl? I feel like he could have gotten to where he needed to be without hypnotizing her.
It was to make his appearance not suspicious, because he told her, tell him he has a phone call. And she does that. And then he uses the excuse, oh, I couldn't help overhearing your name.
I feel like he just could have followed him into the bathroom and been like, "Oh shit, are you that guy that has the house next to me?" Like, I didn't feel that he needed to hypnotize. I'm
It'd be
just
funny
saying.
if he just slipped
Yeah.
her $50. He's
Here.
like, yo.
Yeah,
But
get
here's
that.
the thing I was talking about with the classism, because he feeds on the flower girl, he hypnotizes the woman working at the theater, so it's always like
Someone
people
below him?
in station that he seems to use.
Yeah. So
I concur.
he also gets
go
introduced
on.
to Mina and Jonathan Harker, and they're talking to him about the Carfax Abbey. And he also meets
And Mina, I love the
Mina,
way
yeah.
that they introduced themselves back in that time. It was like, my daughter. Like, oh,
Yeah.
Who does that?
Yeah, it was funny when I was watching
How do
it.
you do?
when I was
How do you
wa-
do?
How do you do?
yeah, each of them, it's really funny because I don't know if it's like a script thing or maybe that's like the sign of the times, but it's like, Jonathan Harker, how do you do?
Pleased to meet you.
Mina, how do you do?
Yeah.
And then like they literally go one by one. And I don't know. But go ahead.
It'd be funny if they all just tried to say, how do you do it at the same time? And they were like, no, you go first. No, I was watching it like 2 days ago. And Dracula's talking to him, and he's just like, I bought the Carfax Abbey. And then they walk like a foot in a different direction, and he's like, hey, Dracula just bought Carfax Abbey. And I was one of them be like, yeah, I know, we heard you. You were like literally standing right next to us. You know?
Standing right there, Dad.
I heard
the
you.
whole thing.
You guys are like talking so loudly during this production.
Yeah, we're trying to watch this.
Yeah,
They even flash the lights to tell us to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And
That would be funny if they just like the camera pulled back a little bit and there was just like some guy looking up at their box like, shut up! Shut up! Come on, we're watching this play or whatever it is.
and they pull out mini binoculars and they look up at them.
Honey, that man up there is a brute.
He's a brute, I tell you.
But as I mentioned in the invitation, this movie is the first instance where Carfax and the Abbey are combined into one property.
Yeah.
Yeah. Faux show.
So later on,
Faux show.
Lucy and Mina talk about their encounter with Dracula, and Lucy is kind of like in love, like LUV, and she's like, wow, yeah, that Dracula, right? Like,
wanna go
Mina's
get
like,
lit
I
with
don't
him.
know, like, he seems cool.
She's
like,
making fun of him.
right, and then, but Lucy is like, oh, I don't know, man. He made me feel good in ways I never felt before. And then,
Also, this scene is the first filmed impression of Bela Lugosi.
yeah, that's true. So then, later that night, Mina leaves. Lucy gets a late night visit from a bat, but it turns out to be Dracula.
I love the ambience of that scene.
Oh yeah.
Once it's not the bat on the string and Dracula is in the room, the way he draws towards her slowly and menacingly, it's such tension.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is my question. Where is this happening?
This is at Lucy's
Lucy's.
estate because
How does Dracula get into this house?
He flies up through the balcony window.
Okay, this is what I was talking about before. Doesn't a vampire have to be invited in?
no,
No?
not in
Not in
Dracula's
this?
mythology.
Okay,
The
I thought that was a
lore
thing.
changes a bit from
When it's
book
convenient,
to book or movie to movie.
when it's
Whatever
convenient for the
plot
movie.
needs.
Okay, fair enough. That's fine.
To
he
make
was
a
a
mild correction to what you said, that actually was not a bat on a string. That is a real bat, and he will also respond to your fan mail.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, good
His
to know.
name is Bat Baddington.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I heard of his. He's very famous. Yeah.
Yes, quite.
He has
What?
a-
It's
quite.
Baddington. Bat short for Bathu.
Bathu.
Okay. Okay.
Bathu
That's
Baddington.
Bathu Baddington.
Is that of the New York Baddingtons or the London Baddingtons?
The very same.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. So
So dumb. Go ahead.
cut over to the sanitarium, and Dr. Seward examines the dead bodies or slash victims of Dracula, and he's like, their blood has been basically drained. Meanwhile, Renfield has moved on from flies
That's
to
actually
spiders.
that was Lucy's body.
Oh yeah. And
Get
meanwhile,
your fucking facts straight.
I said,
Get
the
your
dead
fucking
bodies,
facts
victims of Dracula. She was a victim. I
You're
don't
off the
know.
podcast.
All right. So, anyways,
New host next week, everyone.
yeah.
I
So-
just love
Elle, are you busy next
the
week?
operating.
Hey,
that
get
is
Carmen on the phone.
basically an operating theater, and so all of these doctors are standing around the corpse, and
Yeah.
it's almost feels like the battle between Van Helsing and Dracula becomes the battle between science and superstition. Mm-hmm. You're not even listening to me. You're thinking about the bee.
I'm thinking about that bee still. Because I was like, is he there in the room with them? Because maybe it was the bee that bit Lucy.
Yeah, maybe he's framing Dracula.
Yeah.
Dracula's just trying to buy up some property.
Yeah, maybe he's like, I want to flip some houses. And the bee is like, I don't like you moving out on us, bro.
Yeah, because he was having a free ride out there in the castle.
All
He's
this
like,
is going
mind
to get
your
cut.
beeswax.
Yeah.
Mind your beeswax. I also feel like a lot of the time back then was just doctors standing around a dead body going, yep, dead.
Dead.
We don't have any
Absolutely
science
dead.
to go further with this.
Definitely dead.
They're dead.
How about you?
Well, the
dead? Dead.
The book
Definitely
mentioning
dead.
blood transfusions is cutting-edge science for the time. But the thing is, all of Lucy's suitors are giving her blood. They didn't know about blood typing back then. So
AB, positive, negative.
it's very
typo
possible
negative.
that Dracula didn't kill Lucy.
Could be.
So one little comment about the book. I found that to be unsufferably long-winded when they're doing the transfer of blood. It just kept going. I remember I was just reading chapters and I'm like, they're still fucking giving her blood. It just kept going.
You know how when you're writing something and you've done a lot of research and you want to show how much research you put into it?
Yeah.
I think that's where he was coming from on that.
You think so?
Yeah.
It's
Well-
okay. Imagine.
They needed a montage.
I was gonna no.
Kind of think about the Howling 3.
Imagine you were going to create a movie.
Don't think about that movie.
Imagine you're going to create a movie about werewolves, but you've done extensive research on marsupials. Specifically, not any other, just marsupials. You're going to want to get that out there. You want people to know that you know about marsupials.
I'm glad that you guys explained this to me.
You beat me to it, EJ. That was good work,
Damn,
dude. You
yeah,
got
that
me
was-
right fucking there.
I saw that race between the two of you.
We were trying to get there, and you
Who's
beat me
gonna
to
make
it.
the howling joke first?
Yeah.
I had my money on Vince
Yes.
Yeah.
because of the glasses he's wearing.
Glass.
Do you like how I'm switching between glasses?
Yeah.
You know why? Because I keep fogging up.
Oh.
Is that really why you have those?
Absolutely. I can't see you. I can't see EJ from the fog.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a thing.
That's a really interesting thing
Yeah.
to prep for.
All right. Fuck
I
you,
wouldn't have
Carmen.
thought that.
Yeah. So poor Carmen. So meanwhile, Renfield has moved on from flies to spiders, and he's upset.
Because they're juicier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's upset with staff preventing him from eating them. He's like, "Come on," you know. And
That nurse is fantastic.
oh yeah,
right?
that guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Martin?
Martin. Yeah.
Anyone ever see the George Romero movie, Martin?
Wait, Donnie Martin?
No.
Oh,
Donnie
okay.
Martin.
When he's taking the spider away,
Everett not?
he says, "No, Martin, don't take my spider away."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to know if like maybe George Romero was referencing that.
That character.
Yeah, for the movie Martin. Did you ever see Martin, Elle? You'd really enjoy it. You really would. It's a
Okay.
vampire flick. It's in your wheelhouse.
Okay,
You'd like
okay.
it. Look it up. Or don't. Just forget about what I just said.
So Dr. Seward
have.
holds a meeting with Professor Van
If we
Helsing.
could just talk about that scene,
Oh,
though.
yeah.
This has the crane shot I was talking about.
Yeah.
And also, Renfield's grief as Martin throws the spider away and is so palpable. And he goes from that to being so happy when Martin's like, "Have it your own way." And he's just like ecstatic. And the bipolar, the manic depression that he just goes through in that moment, that roller coaster of emotions.
There's
so
clearly
impressive.
something wrong with him.
Dwight is so impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
just need to gush about how much I love Dwight Fry in this movie.
Yes.
I love him because you could like just turn the volume off and just watch him and totally know
Yeah,
where
you
he's
don't.
at
Yeah,
all times.
he doesn't have to say a word for you to get exactly how he's feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Outstanding. Yeah.
Also, fun fact about Dr. Seward.
Seward.
Yes. Bunsen, as Seward, has an actual tie to Bram Stoker in that his first acting job, he worked at the Lyceum Theatre in London when Stoker was still the manager there.
Neato.
What? That's crazy.
She beat me to that too.
Wow.
I was gonna have. I had that one
Yeah,
also.
it's weird because we talked about it.
We did
before
talk
the
about it
show.
before the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. So
Damn,
Dr.
she's so
Seward,
well informed. I don't
know.
Yeah.
So Dr. Seward holds a meeting with Professor Van Helsing about dealing with the Nosferatu/vampires. Renfield, however, he meets Van Helsing and Seward discussing his bad dreams, and we also discover that Renfield howls back at the wolves, and Renfield begs to be sent away. And Van Helsing pulls out some wolfsbane, driving Renfield a little crazy. He's like, "Whoa!"
He doesn't like it.
Yeah, he's like, "Get that away from me!"
Not as much as he doesn't like the cross, but yeah,
Right.
he's not happy with.
I just want to mention something about the actor who plays Van Helsing,
Yeah.
Edward Van Sloan, right?
Yes. Yeah.
He looks like everyone's 90-year-old grandma.
Grandma.
I've seen her at bingo, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I thought if this were to be recasted right now, Tommy Lee Jones would fit that role perfectly.
Really? You go Tommy Lee
Tommy
Jones?
Lee Jones. Yeah.
Really?
For Van Helsing? Yeah.
I think Chris
I don't
Pratt.
care.
You, Chris Pratt. You want to put Chris Pratt in everything.
Wait. I got a bite on my neck. I'm innocent. I don't care.
I don't care.
I don't care.
Yeah, Edward Van Sloan. How did you like his portrayal of Van Helsing?
It's very logical.
Yeah.
But I think that follows with the play, because in the book he has more of a sense of humor and he's more sympathetic. Like one of the reasons he tells Dr. Seward that he wants to help Arthur is because Arthur reminds him of his own son who passed away, who'd be Arthur's age at that time. So like we don't get to see like little moments like that with Van Helsing in film usually. So when he's just the voice of reason, I think he does that very well in this film.
Did you ever see Peter Cushing play Van Helsing?
Of course.
I think he's marvelous in that role.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that that's just like when I think of who Van Helsing is, I feel like he embodied the character.
Yeah, I can see that.
There's a warmth.
I liked Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman?
Hugh Jackman. Yeah.
Okay.
He was a good Van Helsing.
Hey, EJ.
Yeah.
I love you.
I love you too. So later that night, Dracula visits Renfield, asking him for a favor. We're not really sure what, because he's like, "No, master, I won't. I can't. I won't. I won't. I can't."
I think he wanted, if I'm just guessing, he wanted him to help lure Mina out so he can get to her more easily.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Because he
I
says,
wasn't sure.
"Please, master, not her." And then
okay.
he
It definitely
kind
has
of-
something to do with Mina. I don't know
But he's
why.
very torn. Like he's
Yeah.
like he begs them to send him away because he said something might happen, and
There's no stopping it. He's going to get her. Whether she wants it or not, she's going to get it.
I just think he's conflicted because he doesn't want to be the instrument that Dracula uses.
He's got some humanity left in him.
But-
Yeah,
but
so that's
he's
why
still-
he wants small lives. Like he is greedy for the immortality that Dracula's offering him, but not at the cost of a human soul. Like I will
More
take
so
a
like-
spider or a fly.
More like an innocent. That
Yeah.
seems to be what he's more concerned about.
Yeah,
Like I could
yeah.
see him killing like some asshole in an alley
Yeah.
who's attacking somebody. Mm-hmm. But like I think he's very taken by her innocence. I don't
Yes.
know. I don't know.
Yeah. So,
Rory, when you kill people, do you ever consider their innocence? or do
No,
you
I'm an
just-
equal opportunity slasher.
You just go right into it. It's a job for you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Well, not
I
a
get
job. I mean,
Also, the
I
beginning of
enjoy
that,
what I
the
do.
"Master, you've come back," that was used in an old promo on the Sci-Fi Channel, and like I can't not think of that promo whenever I hear that line.
Master, you've come back. Yeah. I love Dwight Fry's voice.
Yeah.
It's so...
He's incredible.
Yeah.
And he's in, like, when you go through those Universal monster flicks and all their sequels, he
Yeah.
shows up in all of them.
Yeah.
Somewhere. Not all of them. Up until 1944, obviously. But,
Right.
You know, he's
Yeah.
not pedaling around in Creature from the Black Lagoon or anything like that.
Yeah.
But he's in, like, a lot of those movies. And it's always nice to see him.
Yeah, he's outstanding. So over at Mina's, Dracula pays a visit, but we're not really sure what happens. And we kind of assume, he ends up biting her.
When Dracula is in Mina's bedroom, you can see that there is a ragged piece of cardboard taped to the lamp. Because obviously they were trying to do something with a close-up and prevent the light, but they never took it off.
Oh, no. Really?
You can see it, yeah.
Oh, my God. I have to watch it again.
I
That's
won't.
crazy.
It's in the foreground, too, so it's like right in front.
Right in front. Damn, I didn't even notice that. So the next night, Mina recalls a nightmare to her father and Van Helsing, and Van Helsing inspects Mina's neck, finding that her neck was actually bitten. Like there's marks there.
Beautiful ascot she had on, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that my favorite ascot?
Was Van Helsing, was he in the room for that?
Yeah, so we see, Van Helsing, Dracula arrives meeting with Van Helsing and pays a
That's
visit.
what
Hey, get out of his way, he's
scarf
got a
around
joke.
the neck.
Yeah.
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 Okay. Because I really wanted Van Helsing to go up to her and be like, with a little doll, and be like, point on the doll where the vampire
Show
bit
me
you.
where the vampire bit you.
You know?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Man, if we could just go back in time.
Yeah.
Because I have so many questions.
I got questions and requests.
Yeah.
More requests than anything for Todd Browning.
Yeah.
One of them is move the camera. The other one is put my stupid jokes in there. And get the bee in that movie a little bit more.
You know what? That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I was going to hang out with the bee, find out what's up.
I know.
Somewhere on a cutting room floor is Todd Browning's version of a B movie.
Oh, man.
Are you talking about all that B-roll?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. We can keep going with this.
That is
No,
good.
just go. Just
Nah,
keep going,
I
man.
feel like
B
that
movie actor.
was like my favorite B-roll. Loved it. So Dracula arrives, meeting Van Helsing, and pays a visit. And while they're chatting, Van Helsing notices that Dracula doesn't have a reflection. And I love that Fright Night does a
Yeah, dude, I have
recreation
that
of
in my
this.
notes.
Yeah. And so he tricks Dracula into looking into the mirror. He's like, yo, check this out. And Dracula is like, okay.
Instantly drops it.
Yeah, Dracula freaks out, and he's like, I am sorry. I overreacted.
I hate seeing my own reflection.
I have to go. You know, excuse me. And I'm sorry for my actions. By
I
the way.
have Dracula leaves with a sassy parting line.
Yeah, he does. He really does. And so Van Helsing then tells Harker and Seward that Dracula is a vampire. He's like, this motherfucker,
Clearly.
he's a vampire.
He's got vamp qualities.
Yeah. So Mina steps outside and comes across Dracula for a little bit. And then while discussing Dracula is a vampire, Renfield shows up out of nowhere and confirms it to be true. And that Dracula is after Mina. And so a maid runs in and she says Mina is in trouble. She's out. She might be dead. So the three guys run along to check, leaving the maid alone with Renfield. So does Renfield kill that maid?
No. The English version leaves it very, very ominous. But
Yeah.
in the Spanish version, you can see him crawling towards the maid
Yeah.
to catch a fly that was on her.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I'm like, did he kill
They
the maid?
intentionally left it ominous.
Yeah.
But she does appear in a later scene, so we know she's not dead.
Okay.
Excellent,
to think she's
excellent
dead.
fly representation.
Yeah, yeah. So the guys find Mina, and she turns out to be okay. So the next day, Lucy is reported to be attacking young children, but they only say like a ghostly woman is seen in parks, and it's attacking
Yeah.
children and stuff.
This is
yeah.
continuity error number 4.
Because
Because
they never go back.
they never do anything about it.
I was going to say, I really like the way they resolve her story
Yeah,
by
yeah.
not resolving her story.
In the Spanish version, you see a cemetery and you hear a thud and a scream, and then Harker runs out looking a little queasy, and then Van Helsing's like, well, that had to be done. You know, awful but necessary kind of a thing. So at least they imply that they did something about it.
Yeah. She just kind of walks by in a pretty boring shot,
Yeah,
and you just never hear from her again.
yeah.
Yeah, but go on.
Yeah, so Van Helsing, he asks Mina about Lucy, and Mina confirms basically Lucy is the woman in white.
In a
And
4-minute scene with no cuts.
yeah,
Oh, is it that scene where they're just like sitting?
On the couches outside, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she has a line there that I find really strange. She says, "I love night and fog," said no one who's ever seen that documentary.
yeah. Oh no,
That's a rough one.
that is a rough.
But that was
rough
for you,
one.
Ej.
Thank
Not
you,
Joe.
because we saw
Yeah.
it. But yeah, we see where she confirms that it is Lucy that is the woman in white, and that she actually paid a visit to Mina at one point. So Mina is telling Jonathan Harker, she's like, "Stay away. I'm cursed. You don't want none of this." And Jonathan Harker's like, "Yeah, but I do." And so we cut where we see Dracula awakens, and then back to Harker wants to take Mina away.
When they're talking in that scene, you can see she has a bit of wolfsbane tied to her waist.
Oh.
Twas the style at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, super stylish. So then,
Perfect.
Seward and Van Helsing promise to protect her. Renfield shows up, and he gives this amazing... I just have to take a second to give him a high praise, because he gives this awesome monologue, and his acting is, like, phenomenal in this whole scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The rats speech.
Yeah.
I love it. One thing that he says during the conversation is someone asks him a question. They're like, "A Renfield?" And he says, "Words, words, words." Which is
I love that.
It is a reference to Hamlet when he is pretending to be insane. So is this like Renfield giving a nod to say, like, maybe I'm not as crazy as you all seem to think? It could be that he is just
pretending.
Well, not pretending, but he knows that there's things that they don't know, which make him seem crazy if he were to talk about it.
But isn't there a scene maybe later on where they're talking about something and Renfield makes the reference of, like, now you guys sound crazy. Do you hear what you're saying?
Yes. Yeah. The line is, isn't this a strange conversation for men who aren't crazy?
Yeah.
I like when he says, he's like, "A Renfield," and then he said, "B Renfield," and then the B came in.
Oh.
Remember that?
That was
Guys.
good.
That was a good
Guys,
scene.
let it go.
Let it go. No.
Done now.
Are you saying we should
Never.
let it be?
Let it be. Let it be. Oh, you should not.
But one
ever-
interesting
Copyright.
thing
Yeah.
is they ask him, what did Dracula want you to do? And his reply is, that which has already been done. And I think that he was trying to imply that he was informing Dracula psychically about the goings-on at the sanatorium.
Yeah.
Shit's crazy.
It is so good. So we see where Dracula comes face to face with Van Helsing, and they basically are just like talking trash to each other.
Nice cape, asshole.
Yeah, like your cape. All right, Sigmund Freud ass, you know. And
Right before that, when Van Helsing says, Dracula is in the house, and both Seward and John Seb go, "In the house!" simultaneously, is freaking hilarious to me every time, because they jump up
in
and they
the
say it
house.
and then run out of the room.
Yeah. And then so we see, you know, they're talking trash to each other, and then Dracula's like, "Fuck this. All right, I'm gonna try to hypnotize you." So he's trying to, you know, do his little
The
hypnotize
force.
move.
He's using the force
Yeah.
to force choke him.
on Van Helsing, but
I love that. Come here.
come here.
Yeah.
And he thinks about it for a second. He's like, maybe
Yeah,
I
but
don't
he fights
no,
it
I'm
back.
good.
He
No,
fights
no.
it off.
Which
He's
I
like
love,
resisting.
because
Yeah.
if we're looking at this as like reason versus superstition,
Yeah.
we have these two foes going head to head, and he says, "You're very strong, Van Helsing." So the power of Van Helsing's mind over the power of this supernatural power of
Suspicion or
Supernatural.
superstition.
superstition.
I heard it's
go.
because he's the same species as Watto.
Oh.
Your Jedi mind tricks don't work on me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So Van Helsing pulls out a crucifix, and Dracula literally runs away. That exit is like so funny to me, because it's just like, and he's like, runs off.
I love a Dracula covering himself with his cape.
Yeah.
Like this. Whatever's happening, this little sheet of cloth is going to protect me. Like,
Yeah. He's like, and then he runs away. Like,
Yeah, like a little
he's
girl.
like,
I don't like it. I don't wanna.
Oh, what a tragedy!
Oh,
People
if you
can't see
could
that.
have seen that. Oh god
so,
damn.
To inform everyone, EJ just ran away from the table with a very silly run.
so
Like my 12-year-old when I tell her to empty the dishwasher. I don't wanna.
So Harker and Mina chat on the balcony, and Mina is feeling the effects of Dracula, almost thirsting on Harker, and she almost attacks him until Van Helsing interrupts, and Mina then confesses to drinking Dracula's blood. She's like, "Yeah, he cut a vein, and you know what? I took a hit."
Yeah.
And I think that's the right.
You let that drip, I'm gonna take a sip.
Yeah.
What's the name of the actor who played Jonathan Harker?
I cannot recall his name off the top.
Okay, so Jonathan Harker, in comparison to Bela Lugosi and Dwight Frye,
right,
is like it just really emphasizes like that these guys were just on a completely different level.
Oh yeah.
They were like in their roles, and then he's just like, "What's going on here?"
Oh, Trey Willikers.
Mina, what's happening?
Mina, I swear.
There's a vampire in the house.
Dracula. So
David Manners.
David Manners?
Oh.
All right.
I think, David Manners.
She did the research, but that provided no help for you guys.
Yeah.
No.
I really just wanted to make silly voices.
I know exactly.
Apparently, he and the actress who played Mina did not take a lot of the scenes very seriously. So when she's sitting out there with him and, like, the bat comes... Is this the scene where the bat comes along?
Yeah.
Sure.
So, eventually...
And he swats it away.
Yeah, he's like, it'll get in your hair.
It'll get in your hair.
I don't know how they couldn't have laughed through every take of that. So I'm surprised we got a take that good.
You know why? Do you know why they didn't laugh? Because he had manners.
Yeah, David
very good.
Manners.
Well, rewind it back to the beginning of that scene where she's dressed
Don't open your mouth. There was shit in your mouth. The bat. Sorry. Go ahead. David Manners.
He sees... There's something about turning into a vampire that just makes you sexy, apparently.
Yeah.
So Mina, when she sees Jonathan, he's like, Mina, you're so like a changed girl. And it's like he was trying so hard to find something. It's like, Mina, you look like a slut. It's great.
I like the new you.
Mina, if the boner police were around, I'd demand a lawyer.
It's exactly the vibe.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Spit on that thing.
Yeah. So that night, Dracula returns to Mina's room, taking her to the Abbey.
Real quick.
Oh, yeah.
When
Don't do it quick. Take your time. Like, we
Slowly.
got nothing
Just go
back.
very
Please.
slow.
when it cuts to Van Helsing and Dr. Seward talking, right? You can see the cardboard on the lamp again.
I'm going to rewatch this movie just for cardboard.
Yeah. I'm going to be like...
Said no one ever.
And then when Martin shoots at the bat,
Oh, yeah.
there is my favorite exchange in this film.
Him and the nurse.
Him and the nurse
Yeah.
out in the yard.
Everybody in this fucking movie is crazy, right?
He's like, they're all crazy. All except me and you. Sometimes I have me doubts about you. And she's like, yes, and just nods creepily, and he like slowly backs away.
See, I feel like they should have called for another take.
No.
Because she's like, yes. And he just very awkwardly backs away.
Well, because
backs out of the
that's a
scene.
creepy response to that.
Is it?
Yeah.
I feel like it was just a little flat.
I think it was spot on.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know, it
Every
was
time I
good.
watch that scene, it's like, I don't know. It's just a weird. It's a weird reading. I don't know. It's late, guys.
It's weird. It's a weird scene. It's a very strange, like, oh, we should have a laugh at this moment.
Yeah.
And then it's effective, but then it just ends weird. They're like, all right, that was a good laugh. And Tom Browning's like, and they're waiting for someone to yell cut, and he's just like,
He's just passed out in the yard.
EJ
by
was
the way,
pantomiming drinking alcohol, for
Yeah.
those who can't see.
that's all right, yeah.
The most enjoyment I ever got out of that scene, by the way, was you doing it just now.
That was fantastic.
That was fun.
Yeah.
The scene itself, could use another take. That's just me.
you know,
But I guess that's the same crew that left a fucking piece of cardboard on a lamp. It's like a whole crew filming this, and no one saw it.
yeah.
Well, you know what they said. We'll just fix it in post.
Yeah, that's exactly like we'll fix it in post. So that night, Dracula returns to Mina's room, and he takes her to the Abbey.
So you can see her removing the wolfsbane.
Yeah, yep, and then we also see where Renfield also shows up, and Dracula then kills Renfield because Dracula thinks he
Well,
believes.
here's the thing. As they're headed to the Abbey,
Yeah,
Harker and Van Helsing are already outside.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming this is where they should have been coming back from taking care of Lucy. So it's the only hint that we get that storyline is concluded. But they see them and they're like, oh, we got to follow Renfield because he's going somewhere.
Yeah. Yep.
He always knows where the party is.
Yeah, so Dracula kills Renfield because he believes that he led Van Helsing there. And he's like, you did this to me. And Renfield's like,
I didn't do it. I didn't betray you.
Yeah,
I didn't betray you, master.
you.
It was the bee, master.
It was the fucking bee.
It was
man.
the bee.
So Harker and Van Helsing find the coffins of Dracula and Mina. And they go to open Mina's, but Mina is not there.
Can we roll back a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay, so Renfield's death.
Yes.
He screams when Dracula grabs him.
Yeah.
But they cut away before we actually see his finale. I watched a YouTube video that was actually a comparison between the English and the Spanish versions of those death screams. And while I think everybody should watch it, I think the really thing that's important to note about it is that it's very similar to the reaction Rory had to the end of Rise of Skywalker.
There it is. There it is, everybody. All right, wrap it up. Let's go home, guys.
Yeah, so we see
Put a
Renfield
bow on it.
just get thrown down the stairs. But Van Helsing finds the coffins.
Well, there's a moment though when he kills Renfield, and he's basically screaming about how he doesn't want to die with innocent blood on his hands.
Yeah, yeah.
I find that to be a little heartbreaking.
know.
You're still like a human
Van
being.
Helsing
Yeah.
was the one who put the idea in his head. Because, he said, think about your soul. And Renfield's reply was, God won't damn a lunatic's soul. He knows the powers of evil are too great for those of us with weak minds. Mm-hmm. And that's what's on his mind when Dracula's about to kill him. Because he said, punish me, torture me, but let me live.
That blew my mind. Hurt me, torture me, but don't kill me. Like, no, fucking kill me. I don't want to live through torture and stuff. Yeah, no.
Well, he just didn't want, he just didn't want to go to hell, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Maybe.
Though, what a great scene, though. I feel like that's one of the best scenes.
So I want to scale it back a little bit. Also, the fact, get a fucking railing on those steps.
I know, man. I felt like, it's like, that looks dangerous.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Now you're worried about OSHA violations?
I just see things like that in my mind. It's just like, you come home, you had a few drinks.
Yeah, and like,
put
come
a
on.
fucking rail up there.
Step
Come
to
on.
the left. You're done.
Freaking Abby, dude.
That Abby's is treacherous.
Yeah. So Van Helsing finds these coffins. Mina's not in her coffin, but
She was in the coffin slightly to the left.
yeah, she's like,
If I could be 12 years old for a second and be completely immature,
Yeah.
when they're
Please
looking,
do. We are.
When they're looking for the coffin, Van Helsing just says, Harker, Harker. And he runs over, he's like, come! And I'm like, what were Dracula and Mina doing?
yeah,
He works quick.
Harker,
Good
come.
You said they slept on their the home earth?
Oh yeah,
We didn't
his
talk
soil?
about this.
Yeah, his own soil. Like what?
Remember
His
before
soil?
you said
It's
keep your mouth
soil and
closed?
cum.
You see, I have to sleep in my own jizz and my home dirt. Is this a deal breaker?
It's a hell of a life.
Yeah. So Van Helsing.
not for everybody.
It's not for everyone. So Van Helsing he stakes Dracula while Dracula groans in the background. We don't really see it, but we hear him hammering away and Dracula going. Ah!
A lot of the versions of that movie, that particular moment, the grunting was removed.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that was restored.
Really?
Yeah, it's weird. Even in Frankenstein,
Yeah.
the first Frankenstein, he has a line where he says, "Now I know what it's like to be God." Like a lot of the releases, they had like really loud thunder drown it out, but in the future releases, they restored it so that you actually hear what he's saying. So
Wow,
they were a
that's
little
cool.
apprehensive about some of what was said and done in these movies.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
So,
Man, imagine if they could see a movie in 2024.
Terrifier 2.
Terrifier 2.
yeah.
Clown Cafe.
So Van Helsing stakes Dracula, and then Harker ends up finding Mina, who's just standing over in the corner.
I love as he's being staked, she clutches her side in pain and is kind of writhing.
As if she feels it.
Yeah.
As she feels like a little bit of herself being, I like
staked,
that.
Yeah. And then we see where then the curse is broken. Like, you could see it in her face. This is good acting on her part, that she, like, is, like, crunched over in pain, and then all of a sudden she has, like, a very angelic, like, freedom that she expresses, and it's really good. I don't know. And then, boom, the end.
I was going to say, what the fuck? I'm watching this movie, and then all of a sudden they walk up the steps and it says the end.
Yeah.
A Universal picture. Like, what happened?
You have to watch the movie Dracula's Daughter, and it tells you what happens after.
It actually does pick up right
there.
Literally from there?
I didn't realize this till today, that the DVD that I have has Dracula's Daughter on it. So
it's
now
great,
I can watch
dude. It's
it.
actually kind of awesome.
I haven't watched it. So.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So I'm excited.
Is Mina who's Dracula's daughter? I'm not going to watch it, so you might as well tell me.
Oh, it's a countess, actually.
So nobody in this movie? Okay. All right, cool.
It's actually the B.
At the end of the play, there's a post-curtain scene. So curtain comes down, Van Helsing comes out and tells everybody, like, basically, oh, if you were frightened by anything you saw here today, just remember, these things are real. And
nice.
That's awesome.
I think that never got added to the movie because of censors, but what's interesting is I think it mirrors a sentiment that was in the prologue that was removed before the publication of Dracula, in which Bram Stoker wrote, I am convinced that there is no doubt whatever that the events here described really took place, however unbelievable and incomprehensible they might appear at first sight.
I love that at this time, like, I'm sure there are people leaving the theater in 1933, 34, 35, whenever they're watching this, thinking that this is actually possible.
Mm-hmm.
That same thing was actually right at the end of Terrifier 2.
Yeah?
No, I don't know. I'm just saying shit. The events of the Clown Cafe.
Yeah.
You can't get past that.
If we could just talk about, like, what this movie meant, because
Elle, you can talk for the next 20 minutes and none of us would care. Just have at it.
okay.
Yeah.
Like,
He means that in a nice way.
That's,
the way you phrase
I'm
sounds
sorry.
like...
Yeah, I'm sorry. That was.
So-
I didn't mean to be condescending.
No,
but have at it.
Here's a segment, and I'm going to send this to Rory. It's going to be a little song, but it's going to be called Elle's Corner.
Elle's
Corner.
Wait, let's make it more vampiric.
Oh, yeah.
Elle's Casket? No, that's not it.
Elle's Castle.
That's sad.
Welcome to Elle's Crypt.
Elle.
Wait. Wait. Hold on, we got this.
I don't think you got
Castle
this.
Snow? I don't know.
Castle Snow.
Welcome to Elle's Crypt of Facts.
There you go, whatever.
Whatever.
I gotta try to formulate.
No, have at it.
Okay.
Do have facts
So,
for us about vampires.
The United States rights for the play were acquired, and it was at the Fulton Theater in 1927, and Bela Lugosi played Dracula. It got so popular that was what encouraged Universal to want the film rights. So they harassed Bela into talking to Florence Stoker, Bram Stoker's widow, to get the film rights. She wanted $200,000.
Didn't he talk her down to like 40,000 or something?
He talked her down to $40,000, and Universal didn't offer him the role. Todd Browning wanted Lon Chaney to play Dracula, but before they even got into contract negotiations, he passed away from throat cancer.
Seems like he would have been a good choice still.
Yeah.
He's a dead guy.
They also considered Conrad Veidt,
Vampires.
Oh, yeah. The man without the man who laughs.
and he was also in The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari.
Yeah.
How do you get throat cancer?
Don't cover the mic. You stand by your weird comments.
The studio also went through a list of people before they got to Bela. They had Ian Keith, William Courtney, Paul Mooney, Chester Morris, and Joseph Schildkraut.
Chris Pratt was one of them.
Oh, they also announced John Ray from All Quiet on the Western Front.
Okay.
As a possibility. But Bela wanted this role so much that he took a paltry fee of $500 a week for the 7 weeks that they were filming, which is only a quarter of what David Manners got.
Wow.
How
Are you
embarrassing.
serious?
Yes.
Did he get any residuals
or anything?
of?
I think he did. I think his total was like $7,000 for the whole
okay.
production, though.
That's
He's
crazy.
another one. You go through his life, it's just so sad.
Yeah.
He was like addicted to morphine and shit.
Yeah.
But this was the first film that Universal Studios made since the Great Depression, where this studio on the verge of closing actually made a profit.
Oh, good.
So this was like the uptick for them.
Nice.
Yeah, a lot of their money they were pulling in came from these like Universal monster movies. That's why it's like one of those things when people take shots at the horror genre.
Yeah.
They talk badly about it. Like the whole goddamn industry was almost built on like horror movies and horror movie sequels. Like New Line Cinema. Like you think of things like
Nightmare
Lord of
on
the
Elm Street.
Rings and like all the wonderful movies it produced, and it was literally built on Nightmare on Elm Street movies. I mean, so much to the point that they refer to it as like the house that Freddy built.
Nightmare and Scream, right? That was all.
No, that was Dimension.
That's Dimension.
The mirror.
Keeping in line with the fact that this movie is almost 100 years old, I also think it's mind-blowing that 6 years earlier, before this movie came out, the Great Depression started, which is insane. Like, people were jumping off buildings because they lost all their money in the stock market, and the country was like literally in shambles. And to have things like this come out, it just blows my mind.
Well, didn't Carlton Hockley put a pistol in his mouth that year?
Oh yeah, from Titanic.
Yeah, wasn't that a factual thing?
Yeah.
Hey, on what you were just saying about the cat sting, it's weird because it's like we're so accustomed to Bela Lugosi just being Dracula.
Yeah.
Do you think it would have had the same impact if it wasn't him? Because I think it's something about him in general, the way he looks, like his face and his mannerisms are so goddamn iconic, and I don't know if somebody would have played it the same way.
Exactly. I agree with you. He was actually offered after this film to be Frankenstein's monster.
And he was just like, nope.
He didn't want a non-speaking role. So.
I could have been Frankenstein. That's an Ed Wood.
Yeah.
It's also, I think it's cool that, like, while his face and his mannerisms are very subtle, they're still very big. Do you know what I mean? Or no, am I sounding crazy?
It just, he seems larger than life.
Yeah. So while he's doing something very little and very subtle, it seems huge that he's doing it. Yeah. Even just leering in. And
he
like
started in silent film, so he had to express so much without talking.
Yes. Which is part of what we talk about all the time, like acting for the back row. Like this, it comes through in this that he's trying to make this huge production with very subtle looks on his face.
And it's so awesome because you do feel like he's making these bigger choices, but like he's not really. It just feels that way because he's so like dialed into that character.
When he breaks the mirror, he goes from regal and refined to enraged.
Yeah, and
you can see this
all there.
Bestial fury on his face. It's incredible to watch.
Mm-hmm.
I just, that's what I was saying, like that Spanish Dracula version, you know, that is without a doubt the better movie.
It's a little more campy, his performance of Dracula.
Who?
The Spanish Dracula.
Yeah, I've watched this obviously because I'm a nerd and I watch all this stuff, but I remember just watching it and being like, man, I just wish you could just put Lugosi in that version and it would have just been like a real hard-hitting kind of thing.
Oh, absolutely.
But because it's just the technical stuff going on in the Spanish Dracula. I just remember it just felt so much more cinematic. There are literally points in the American version where it just feels like they dropped the camera on some sticks and they just filmed, and it's not, the camera's not moving, it's not visually interesting. Primarily when it's with the characters like Jonathan Harker or like Mina or Dr. Van Helsing. The stuff at the beginning though, the beginning of the movie is where it sings, you know what I mean? It's such like the set is so beautiful, and the camera does have some nice movements in there, and then you get into all the main characters, and it kind of slows down a little bit. Yeah. But it's still just like for like a movie made, as you said, almost 100 years ago. It's still so damn effective.
Bride of Frankenstein and Invisible Man, which were made around the same time, I feel like those were better movies. I enjoyed them more, but this definitely still holds up. I mean, visually, it's beautiful. We say it all the time. There are certain times that you can just take a snapshot of a film and put it on a wall and say, this is art. And there are certain times where this literally looks that. Just the close up of him with the eyes, that's iconic. Like that'll live forever.
Yeah.
So typically, you've been on the show before, so you should know this. But when we get into the how do you feel about this movie, very interested to just hear your thoughts on this film, because you're such like a big fan of Dracula and the books and everything, and where it just all lands for you.
Because it's not so much based on the book, I don't judge it from that perspective.
As you shouldn't.
It is. There are some lines from the play that are lifted word for word. They change a couple things, but the play changed enough as it was. So I find myself just enjoying the performances and the ambience. And this is one of those movies I could throw on. It's shorter, so I find it's a quick, easy watch, and I enjoy it every single time. I may pay a little more attention whenever Bella and Dwight are on screen.
Exactly.
But even the performances by Sloane, by Seward, by Harker, the one scene with Harker and Mina when they're talking about the stars, and he's like, I thought you said you were afraid of the night. And she said, I could never say something so silly. And they start talking about the stars and how they look so close. And he's like, do you want me to grab some for you? And it's a tiny moment, but it's so sweet. And it's one of those things where there's so little time, so they have to show as much emotion as they can and as little dialogue as possible. And it's one of those moments where you really see the genuine affection between these two, rather than just their relationship under the strain and threat of Dracula. Yeah. So there's so many little things that I just love about this movie that I find myself able to watch it again and again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Vince?
Have you ever wanted to bite Jon Snow in the calves?
How do you know I haven't?
Could I watch?
This is the last time I'll agree to come back.
Yeah. The awkward silence is perfect. Thank you.
What were your thoughts?
It's a classic, and I can see how this is a classic movie. And while the flow of this, I'm not 100% on. Like I said, I loved Bride of Frankenstein, and I loved Invisible Man, and I'm kind of lumping all of these classics together. Not my favorite, but definitely iconic, and there's scenes in it that like really cool. Like I said, I watched this with my daughter, who was lost interest like 15 minutes into the movie. Went right onto YouTube and watched some bullshit there. I tried to yell at her, but my wife yelled at me. But it's a whole thing.
We haven't talked since.
Well, we haven't. But no, this is, if you're a horror fan and you haven't seen this movie, 100% watch this movie. This is iconic. That's if you were to say to me, how would you describe this movie? I would say iconic.
So let me ask you a question. All the movies that we've had you watch, forced you to watch.
Yeah.
Do you notice a difference, say, with the way that they used to make these, say, like Universal monster movies compared to, like, say, like the way that they make movies now?
Yeah.
Do you find them to be a little bit more, like, immersive because the worlds feel so, like,
it's
stylized?
I feel like they didn't have the technology, so they relied more heavily on the actors and their performances and the set design.
I was going to say the set design being a big factor.
There's not so much of the CGI and shit that can go into it now.
Yeah, there's even a scene where Harker is like, look, there's a dog running across the lawn.
And they didn't show it. Yeah. It's almost like if someone were to get hit by a car in a movie and they didn't show it. But anyway, I would... Fuck you, Carm. It's one of those things that, like, if you don't... It's one of those things that, like, you don't know you need to see this movie, but you need to see this movie. And I kind of feel that'd be my takeaway from this.
How about
Iconic.
You,
Go ahead.
I took your role away. I'm like asking everybody how they feel.
No, it's great. I love this movie. It's amazing. I always loved this movie. I always thought it was amazing.
Wait, before you go any further. So, 2024, it's actually July 4th. Happy 4th of July, everyone. This was the first time I watched it. I watched it yesterday. First time you saw this movie, Rory?
Oh, it was like
forever ago.
Digits.
Yeah.
6
EJ?
or 7.
Like, definitely before.
The age of 6 or 7 when you watch this?
Yeah.
Okay. What'd you say?
Probably, like, before I was, like, 10 years old.
Okay.
At one point.
Elle?
Yeah.
Probably sometime in the 90s.
So around there. So
Yeah.
you guys have had this movie in your brain
Yeah.
for all of these years. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I love
Yeah.
that.
But go on.
No, I love this movie. It's amazing. I don't know how many times I've watched it now, but it's really funny because I've never noticed the cardboard thing before. So now I'm like excited to watch it again, just to look
Just
for
for
that
cardboard.
stuff. Yeah, but
The
it's
DVD
phenomenal.
version that you have,
Yeah.
is it the Legacy Collection?
I think so. Yeah.
If you have that version, there is an audio track with the commentary by film historian David J. Scull.
Yes, there is.
Watch that track. He points out all of those things.
Oh, really?
Like all the
Oh,
continuity
cool.
errors, all of the points of the cardboard.
Yes. Okay. Cool. Yeah, that's the exact one I have too. But yeah, no, I love it. It's amazing. Rory, how about you?
I have a weird connection to this movie that I hadn't really like thought about too much. When I was a little kid, and I said like 6 or 7, I might have been younger when I saw this.
I believe that.
My father had a crazy love for this movie,
Yeah.
primarily Bela Lugosi. 'Cause
Yeah.
there were 2 movies that he would talk about. He would hype them up in a way that they just kind of had like this, like, oh shit, I gotta see this, because he was a huge fan of Halloween, but he
Yeah.
like loved Bela Lugosi as Dracula. I think that was like the
His-
peak of horror for
Yeah.
him. So
Yeah.
by the time I finally got to see it, I was just so interested to like, you know, dive in and just kind of see what the big deal was. And Bela Lugosi is so fucking striking, because even like as a little kid, I'm probably not following everything that's being said, you know, because I'm a stupid little kid. Stupid.
Still are.
Emphasizing stupid. But you know, I just remember like just visually speaking, and it's kind of why I asked you this question. I just found it to be so immersive, because the world just feels so stylized, and it just has like this thing where you just feel like you're being like transported into like a fantasy world, and all those Universal movies really have that quality. So with this one, every time I watch it, I love the opening so much.
Yeah.
Is beautiful looking, and it has like a lot of really interesting, like kind of what you're talking about before with the painted glass and everything like that, the glass technique.
Even the credits were awesome.
well,
the opening.
I just as far as the filmmaking goes, I know Todd Browning was definitely
Hitting the sauce.
something like that. He just wasn't. It's like he wasn't really like leaning as hard into the filmmaking as he probably could have, but it still has a very like haunting quality to it. It's very moody, very atmospheric. I liked all the performances, and like specifically Dwight Fry and Bela Lugosi. So just like what we've said a million times about a lot of these other Universal monster movies, Monster Squad, it's a wonderful little addition to the little kid horror starter pack. It's like you want to watch a
Yeah.
nice spooky thing that's going to make
Yeah,
you
this-
fall in love with the genre.
Super
Here you go.
safe.
Yeah. And it's just
So good.
Yeah, and I think it's just so god darn cool that like there are movies, Oscar movies, right? Like Best Pictures from like years after this movie was made that you'll never hear of again.
Yeah.
Unless someone's just bringing it up as like a footnote in time.
Yeah.
But people still talk about this movie, and when you see Dracula, like the way that people depict them, like if it's like a movie or like a TV show, and they're like, "Oh, look, it's Dracula," they always look like Lugosi.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's
And
like the
it's-
blueprint.
Yeah.
That's
It just
that's kind of
defines that character so
Like
much.
if you were to go online and just Google vampire costume, you're gonna
Yeah.
find a suit with a cape, and
Yeah.
it's
And
gonna
the
have the
metal.
medallion.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by iconic, and we talked about this 2 episodes when we did the Monster Squad. When you see Frankenstein's shoes, you know who it is. You
Right.
don't even you don't need to see the face or the outfit or anything like that. You see the shoes and you're like, that's Frankenstein.
Yeah.
So this kind of has that in it, where it's he will forever be Dracula. Bela Lugosi, no matter what role he is, when people see Bela Lugosi, they're gonna see Dracula.
I heard
Jesus,
that
I can't
he
say Frankenstein.
requested
like 9 more times.
I don't know if it was successful or not, but I heard he was buried in the Dracula cape.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
One of them, right?
He had said that he had wanted to have his viewing in the cape, but
Yeah.
the studio actually pulled it out of storage and gave it to to Florence so that
really?
he could be buried in it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That should be in the Smithsonian. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I just think it's one of those classics that stands the test of time in a weird way. Even though, as you said, like your daughter watched it and was like, "Fuck this."
Yeah,
and just
15
took
minutes
off.
in, she was on YouTube watching some bullshit. Yeah.
But it's definitely that kind of horror film for that little kid that has like that eye for film, that
Yeah.
just like loves film, is probably going to drift into filmmaking, is going
Yeah.
to see that film and just visually speaking just take a lot from it.
There's-
I
it's a
recommend
different
it,
type
assholes.
of horror in its subtlety, because it's not scary because there's a guy with an axe or because the threat is immediate. Like, if you see modern horror, most of them have a very iconic but terrifying look. So you'd be scared of them upon seeing them without them doing anything. With Dracula, this is a aristocratic gentleman. It is a gentleman vampire. So you don't know he's a threat until you're already too close to do something about it. And I think there's a different type of horror to that.
I love the scene where he's going into the opera and he's dressed to the nines with the top hat, and I almost feel like, oh, they're going to notice him because he's dressed differently, but because of the time when he's going into the theater, he's dressed like everybody else. And I was thinking like, oh, they're going to know he's Dracula, they're going to know something, but he's so similarly dressed to everybody else, and like you're saying, he's an aristocrat. He's so high above, he'll fit in anywhere.
That is 100% what makes something like that scary, because you know, you're right, if it's a slasher movie, somebody with an axe, you can pretty much identify the guy with the hockey mask as being a threat.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, well, that guy's up to something. But like
That guy with the
Dracula-
chainsaws in Texas, what's he do? Check him out. No.
Yeah, but like Dracula's a guy that you would see every day. He blends in with society. He's your neighbor, and that's frightening.
Yeah.
Fright Night.
Frightening.
Frightening. Yeah,
Frightening.
he could be your neighbor.
There it is.
And maybe-
Maybe
Maybe
he
it's
is.
you.
Maybe he is.
Teeny tiny thing in my notes that I forgot to bring up at the very beginning, but in the carriage ride, one of the passengers mentions that it's Walpurgis Night, and interesting because that's usually a German festival rather than Romanian, but I was wondering why they put it in, because it's not in the novel, but the day that Harker arrives at Dracula's castle is May 5th, whereas Walpurgis Night is usually May Day Eve, so it's usually April 30th, because it's the night preceding the feast day of Saint Walpurga. So, you know, they'd celebrate the night before. It's basically just some spring rites, but I found out there is a story called Dracula's Guest, which was originally meant to be a prologue to Dracula, and it takes place on Walpurgis Night, and Stoker writes, Walpurgis Night was when, according to the belief of millions of people, the devil was abroad, when the graves were opened and the dead came forth and walked, when all evil things of earth and air and water held revel.
Find me a better vampire expert than Elle. Go ahead, try.
Oh,
I dare
I really
you.
liked learning about pierogi night.
Yeah. I think it's pronounced Walpurgis Night.
Oh, and it says, and watch out for bees. That is.
With that being said,
With that being said,
No, wait. I want to go back to you referencing. Keep your mouth closed because it's going to shit in your mouth. I cannot wait to listen to this episode just for that.
Oh, thanks, man. I mean, that's all Jonathan Harker.
Yeah.
David Manners.
Yeah.
Genius.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
I can't wait to listen to this.
Yeah.
As opposed to The Howling 3, which I will not listen to because, yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah.
You want to do plugs and stuff like that? Because
let's talk about our emojis. Elle, what are your emojis for this movie?
I have the casket that you never actually see anyone leave.
Right.
I have the bat, which may or may not be on a string, and may or may not answer your fan mail. And I also have a stack of money that Bela Lugosi should have got for this film.
he should have.
Yeah.
I'll go next. I have a condom and a flashlight and dog shit.
Dog shit? Wait, that's like what you had for the last one. That was wait. That was your review for the Howling.
I don't know what you're talking about. Keep out. And I don't worry. I'll filibuster while you guys sift through your phones.
I got
enter the
stuff.
first.
I got stuff.
They weren't expecting me to be so on the
No,
draw
they weren't.
today.
I got it.
To be fair, though, I just made my shit up last minute.
Okay.
Okay.
I got it. I got a vampire because there's a vampire emoji. I got a bee. I got another bee.
I got a vampire.
And I got another bee. I got 3 bees. I got a horse because there's horses in the movie.
Yeah, that's true. That was a thing.
I see. I got a
There's
blood
no
drop.
there's no possum emoji. I looked.
I looked too. I did, but I'm gonna say possum emoji because there should be one, just like all that money Bela Lugosi should have gotten. I got a wolf because I heard a wolf yelling at one point.
Wait, while he's filibustering
Hey, how
too.
about I do my emoji?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. You're right. You're right.
Emojis.
I'm sorry.
I got a coffin, Vince. It's a coffin. I got. What else can I do to spite you?
Yeah, thank God you got to that.
I got the opossum in there. Ducks. There were ducks in this movie.
Yeah. Armadillos.
Yeah.
No, seriously, could I ask a question to Elle? What is the lore for bats versus wolves versus all of that with vampires? Because I was thrown off when they said that they saw a dog run through the yard and they thought it was Can you explain that to me?
Well, in the movie, Van Helsing says that generally they take the form of wolves, but also that of bats. In the book, Dracula
Because wolves are new
changes-
to me for vampires.
Yes.
He's only familiar with like marsupial werewolves.
Oh,
So,
I understand.
True.
Yeah, okay.
Very true.
Well,
very well versed in it.
there are some animals or some things that say that the undead can change their form. Like, so I think bats came into it because of vampire bats.
Yes.
Also, they're nocturnal. So any nocturnal animals became associated with death. And we see a lot of hounds are associated with the underworld. So you have Cerberus. Funny they mention wolfsbane, which is also aconite or monkshood, which the origin of that, the Greeks believed that the plant arose from the mouths of Cerberus because of Hecate, the goddess of magic. So that's the underworld connection, the connection with the undead. And so it's easy to make the leap that hounds would also be related to the undead. So,
Correct.
I mean, it's
Easy to
usually
make that
things
leap.
that are predatory. So, like a wolf would attack. Sometimes wolves are also attributed with, like, human-like intelligence because they're very cunning. They're pack animals. They use tactics to take their prey down. So, associating something that would prey on humans like a vampire with a wolf is an easy leap to make. So it's interesting if you look from region to region, they all have different animals that are associated.
Okay. So it's
with
not
being
just
undead.
bats. It can be wolves and it could be any
there's
nocturnal.
lots.
Okay.
Yeah.
Say it. You were going to make another bee
Not
reference.
bees.
I know.
Oh, so I thought he was going to make a bee joke too.
No.
I just waiting to do his emojis over here.
Oh yeah. My emojis.
Wait, hold on 1 second. Do you have any other questions, Vince, before he does his
I'm
emojis?
sorry. She's
If you're going to talk about
Rory, it's late. Dude, come on. I've been putting drywall up all day. I got stung by a bee earlier.
Remember when you put the fucking you maced the bee's nest?
Those were wasps.
yes.
Those were wasps. Okay, big difference. Not a bee, a wasp.
He blinded himself.
Asshole.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
You blinded some bees, man.
I accidentally sprayed mace onto my hand to try and kill wasps, and I rubbed it into my... I essentially maced myself. Anyway, go ahead, EJ.
Which, by the way, if you could just picture macing a bunch of wasps. Just rolling around in the yard screaming.
What's happening?
Bees are just looking at you like, what the fuck's up with him? Anyway.
So my emoji's really easy.
Oh, we're doing emojis. Okay.
Yeah, it's a bee with a Slurpee, and that's my emojis.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
God.
Did he get that Slurpee at the Borgo Pass? I heard that place is
yeah,
lit.
yeah, it's lit. So
Lat. It's fire.
how about all right, Elle? Do you have anything you would like to plug?
I absolutely do. Listen to them, the children of the night. What sweet music they... No, actually, wait, that's just the sound they make when they're hungry. So they should go on down to Three Jack's Burger Bar, the best bite this side of the Borgo Pass. And they might not have palinka, but you can enjoy a refreshing cocktail with Casamigos tequila. And now that you have learned what you have learned, escape with your boxes of earth to Three Jack's Burger Bar. Basics done better.
Boom.
Elle, if I could find a lake deep enough to put Jon Snow and my wife in there, let me tell you, me and you...
Oh, it's fabulous. Hey, can you do one for Gravy Diggers?
Yeah.
Gravy diggers, I didn't die.
I survived
Gravy
Gravy Diggers.
Gravy Diggers, keep now with moonshine. Only 6 people went blind this week.
Reported.
Elle, thank you. That was fantastic.
That was awesome.
Gravy diggers, keep it out of your mouth. That's where it goes. All right. Anything else you want to plug, bud?
Oh yeah, I'm just plugging the Eastern Tribute Collective, which is my husband's wonderful project that he
Mr.
does
Snow.
with a great group of dudes.
Yes.
They're currently on 1 month with no shows. They are currently in the process of looking for a new guitarist for their Slipknot cover band.
Nice.
So if anybody is interested in auditioning to play guitar for a number of new metal cover bands, please contact the Eastern Tribute Collective on Facebook or on their website, easterntributecollective.com.
Awesome. And they also have a show in August, right? Or is it September? I forgot.
It's August.
We're talking about the Will
variant
Purna
season?
the variant
it's like-
season, the whole
Yeah.
It's going to be a thing.
Yeah.
We're all going to go. We're going to hold hands. We're going to have matching T-shirts. It's going
Right.
to be
You know who we're going to be looking at? Metal Messiah, Jon Snow.
Yeah. Is that a bee?
It's a bee in here.
Harker, come!
Harker, come! You can do that on command. Always.
keep your mouth closed.
Yeah. Keep your mouth closed. Or I'll shit in it. So, how about you, Vince? Anything
No,
you
I'm
wanna
going to
plug?
yield. The congressman from Illinois is going to yield his time. No, that was fantastic. We got. We're going to do Kitties of NEPA. We got a lot of things going on. Again, I'm overwhelmed with everything that's going on with Three Jacks. You guys have been fantastic. This was a load off my mind, which was fantastic. I was stressed about having this all come together with everything that's going on. But everybody, Elle, Carm, you guys definitely cheered me up. And yeah, I was in a place and I'm happy to be where I'm at right now. So thank you guys. I'm going to use my time for that. So thank you guys. Appreciate it. Go ahead.
Awesome. Rory?
When you said it was a load off your mind, was that in reference to Jonathan's ability to climax on command?
Yeah.
Harker, come!
You see those calves. You can't help it.
I know.
God.
It's a real problem.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got some stuff.
Go ahead, please. Save us.
To plug. No, I'm glad you felt better.
I do. No.
You look like you're under a lot of pressure.
It's a lot, but you guys definitely make this whole thing better and a lot more fun. I hope you got some release from this too.
Yeah,
God,
no,
Jesus
I
Christ,
did.
You got a release. All right.
Phrasing. It's all about phrasing.
We're gonna start calling you Jonathan Harker over here.
Oh, no one asked. No one asked.
So I got Ravenview Productions. It's a film production company that I'm building slowly. Got some cool stuff that I should be talking about shortly. Unless I hit a wall with it, in which case you'll hear nothing from me for a while until I get past the wall, and then I'll say, hey, I got some stuff coming on up. But we got Fourth Cut Reviews. Our buddy Chris Conforti films stuff with a camera, and sometimes he writes things with a keyboard.
He was here at Three Jacks last week, I think.
Yeah?
Right?
He's the guy you kicked out of here,
No.
right?
Yeah. He was drunk. That's his fault.
Yeah, it was. He was very drunk. Variant Season. He's a band. It's a band you can check out. Look them up. Variant Season. They're going to be on your Spotify's and your Apples, and you can listen to their awesome music. Will Perna, Mark Janosch.
Gravy. I see Janosch.
Gravy Diggers is a pot pie business that we've got going on these parts. They're pretty cool. The death tolls have been rising steadily, but it's still pretty good.
It's his fault.
And then finally, I just wanted to get through all this crap so that I can just say, Kitties of NEPA Pet Rescue, look them up on the Facebook and get involved, because if you don't come into Three Jacks.
Yeah, you don't like cats.
You don't like cats? If you don't like cats, well, I just don't know if I'll like you too much as a human being.
I get that.
I don't like people that don't like animals. I don't trust you. I don't trust a goddamn one of you. You know? Hey.
Yeah.
EJ, what do you got?
Well, first off, I want to plug this guy. I don't know him. He sounds pretty cool, though. Adam Farley's music. Check him out on Spotify and iTunes.
New track, Carson
got that
song.
New track, Carson song.
Hot beat.
You got to listen to it with your ears, man, and you got to feel it with your heart.
Don't listen to it with your eyes.
Yeah, because that would be fucking stupid.
It would be real hard to do, too.
You want to give your best Casey Kasem? Introducing Adam Farley? No, I'm sorry.
No. I don't know where he is anymore. So anyways, also make sure to check out Chris Alou's music, which is on iTunes and Spotify.
Join the Alou crew.
Yes, it's awesome. It's very Billy Joel-esque.
I think it's Ben Folds 5.
Been folding. So then also,
if you want to hear more of Chris Alou, and if you're not familiar with this gentleman, you can listen to his Freakquels episode where they talk about the Babadook.
Yeah, and he debuted a brand new song on that episode, so that was awesome.
He wasted a great song on us.
Yes, he did.
On us degenerates.
Wait,
he did.
He did a song on our show? Mm-hmm. That's a revelation to me.
Straight from the drywall.
Also, I want to plug The Howling 3. It's maybe one of the most important movies of my life. It talks about marsupials. I think that's a thing I need to talk about.
Fucking Carmen.
And also, check out NEPA Movie Mania, or Movie Maniacs. They might change the name.
Mr. Petito.
Joe Petito. Justin. The Vinch. And last night I actually got to meet up with Mike for a little bit, and he made our website.
Yes.
And stuff. So I
heard. Yeah.
So I
have to get him a credit card. It's funny how all these interactions happen. He's like, "Hey, buddy, I need your credit card." Like, dude, how about a hello? How's things going?
He's been wearing a lot of nice suits.
Yeah, it was.
Did you see that new Rolex?
Yeah.
It's
weird.
Nice. Also, Gravy Diggers, guys, please come. Your blood alcohol is going to be higher than any normal amount, but that's just Gravy Diggers for you. So check that out. Also, make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Also, you can email us, freakquelpodcast@gmail.com, if you want to request a movie or just talk some shit or talk with us. Maybe you got questions for Rory about cats.
And as always, Rory, thank you for audibly yawning directly into the microphone, which I heard. Anyway,
Yeah.
are you
You're
done? 'Cause I
welcome.
wanna-
No.
You're
And
welcome.
if you want to email us too, maybe you got questions about how to do drywall. We got a guy.
You know a guy.
Can I do a thing real quick?
Yeah.
Elle, thank you for putting up with our bullshit because we're loopy. We're on a lot of time, but you were very informative and you were an excellent guest. We love having you on. Nowhere like we have Carm on. He's terrible, but you came
he's
across.
Right there. He's been
he is.
sitting here the
you know
whole
what I
time.
love?
He
You know
just
what,
came out of Gravy Diggers.
I was going to say, you know what I loved about him
looking like
most?
Todd
Is he was
Browning.
so quiet during this whole.
For this.
No, but thank you for coming on and being very informative and you know, just essentially catering to us and our dumbness. We're three dum-dums that love scary movies, sort of, kinda. Thank you for coming on and being very informative. I appreciate that.
I am just a nerd who likes vampire movies.
Oh, you're gonna fit right in.
The worse they are, the more I like them. So
Okay.
I've like lots of options if you want me to on the show again down the road.
How do you feel about marsupial movies?
You know what? I was here for part of the recording of
And you thought it was just as dumb?
So I don't think I might give that one.
You're gonna
a
skip that
pass.
one?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm sorry I took all that stuff out of your house on Sunday.
You know what?
We watched Akira.
Hey, can I ask you
We did,
something?
yeah.
Like this is a maybe like a personal thing. But what was like the worst day of your life, or like the most painful thing you've ever been through?
Do we have time for a therapy session right now?
Well, I would just associate the Howling 3 with that.
Oh, okay.
I would just.
So it's just
yeah.
like the worst thing, like Howling 3 is worse.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like,
So if you're like, oh, you know, like this.
oh, like the day my mom died. You're like,
Yeah.
no, that's Howling 3 is worse.
Yeah.
Much
Yeah.
worse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Much worse.
Okay.
My dad died. I would say the Howling 3 is actually worse.
I lost both my parents walking the park in comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh, it's rough.
Yeah, my mother had a stroke in 2019. I lost my father in 2021. But yeah, Howling 3. Guys, if we can all bond on something, this is the thing.
This is it. Thank you to Carmo for recommending that movie. And
I love how we're in Elle's episode and we're still referencing
yeah.
Howling 3.
No,
Because
but,
it was so bad.
Thank you to Elle for coming on. As always,
Always a pleasure, guys.
It's always awesome to have
You're
you
going to
on.
be invited back. I have a feeling.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure you're going to be invited.
We'll see.
If not, I'll just
We'll
piggyback
see.
on one of John's episodes.
I was going to say, I'd rather have you back than John, but anyway.
No, we need both. We need both.
Ooh,
But-
what if we did another double episode with both of them? Could we do that? Cause
Can we,
Yeah.
can we title it "Let It Snow"?
Yeah.
Let it snow.
Let
It snow.
Shh, no, Disney will see you. Don't,
Oh,
don't
yeah,
yeah.
you're right.
They're actually like
Hard
waiting
edit.
outside,
Hard
yeah.
edit.
Yeah.
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 Bob Iger's waiting for a reason
Yeah,
to get me.
as if Rory hasn't said enough shit about Disney.
Hey, I have to.
Okay, fair enough. It's in his contract.
It is.
Yeah. It's funny because Matt was telling me that Disney reached out to him about a good formula for making Disney movies, and he just gave them the Gravy
Digger's recipe.
Yeah.
that makes
Yeah,
sense.
'cause
Yeah.
I guess like some of their more recent products have the exact like for Disney. Some of
Right.
the more recent products have the exact same side effects as the
Gravy
Gravy
Diggers.
Diggers.
Yeah,
Popeyes
like
do.
he actually
It
they
makes you sick.
yeah Disney actually picked up the Gravy Diggers recipe for the Acolyte.
Oh, shit.
Shots
Just
fired.
like
Just throwing daggers like a dick. I love it. Go ahead.
No. It's good. No, but Elle, thank you so much. Please
you.
come back anytime, of course.
I doubt she will after this.
No, I think like her and Carmen were debating on coming back together to do a certain episode.
Oh, okay.
Howling 2.
Yeah, Halloween or one of them. There's
Halloween
about
3
8 of
again.
those movies. It's weird because Joe Dante, I think, directed the first Halloween, and then after that, I don't know what happened to that series. But
We'll
Joe
watch
Dante didn't direct
Subspecies
them?
for you.
yeah,
I like it.
But no, definitely come back, and thank you so much for coming on. And guys, thank you so much for listening at home. We love and appreciate you guys. And with that being said, thank you for listening to
Fucking Matt.
Yes. Laugh.
All dance together to the music that he make with that smileless mouth of him. And believe me, friend John, he is good to come and kind. We men and women are like ropes drawn tight with strain that pull us different ways. Then tears come, and like the rain on the ropes, they brace us up until perhaps the strain become too great and we break. But King Laugh, he come like the sunshine, and he ease off the strain again, and we bear to go on with our labor, what it may be.
There's your cold open.